Hello. How are you?
Hi, Salty, my friend. I'm very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just grabbed a quick bite to eat before we started here.
Good. You got to keep that strength up.
Yeah. Good Lord. I'm sorry. My laptop does not want to cooperate anymore, and I don't know why. Probably because it's getting old.
Like me. I
Like
don't want to
me.
cooperate. The older I get, the less I want to cooperate too.
Yeah. Some days I'm like, not happening.
Hi, Butterfly.
Hey, Butterfly. Thanks for coming in. She's out and about, but she's doing her usual. Multitasking. I got to turn the volume down on this thing. Hold on. Wow, listen to what it comes on to down the hill shit immediately.
That's not necessarily the case. We're not making any assumption.
Right. Wow.
We have more video. We have more audio. But
sorry, hold on. Stop. Okay, there we go. All right, we're all good now.
Dizzy, I think I reposted Salty's tweet on this. I don't think I did an original tweet of my own.
Oh, yeah, I did post it on X. I just shared what I put on my community tab. All right.
So I'm going to learn some stuff today because this is me, everyday, ordinary Joe Schmo, who has heard a whole bunch of stuff on social media and mainstream media. And I've watched a couple of the hearings kind of casually, but have not really done a deep dive into Kohberger. And on your channel the other night, we kind of dove into it a little bit and I learned a lot then. I expect I'll probably learn a lot today too.
Yeah, there's just been so much with this case that's talked about and shown and reviewed that I think there are a lot of people who are probably just coming into the case, aren't aware of all, the different things and maybe hearing different things. And I just thought we could go over the PCA to start with. There's a lot of things about the PCA that bother a lot of people. There's only a few things in there that bother me, but we all can talk about those. And then we have some other stuff to review as well. Like not everybody has seen the Grub truck videos. They're like, well, what is that? Where is that? What does that even mean? So we have that. We have the girls going down the sidewalk with a friend of theirs, and we have that to show as well. So we're trying to get everybody just caught up. Now, there's a lot of things that have been discussed that we may not be discussing, but if it comes up, it comes up. But we're just going to try to go over get to the gist of things, but there are some interesting things that to talk about. And like when you were reviewing the Grub truck, you noticed somebody immediately, and I was like, yeah, that guy's been out talking. And so I grabbed some stuff on him to show, and we have that lined up to look at as well, because a lot of it is important to review. Because in my mind, even with all these Idaho theories, even with my own theories, if I can debunk it, I'm going to, because then I can rule that out. You know what I mean? So I don't mind discussing all the things, but some of them are so far-fetched, they're not worth even talking about.
Right. And that's where there's kind of some similarities to the Delphi case where people have their conspiracy theories and some of them are really far out there and some of them are kind of like, hey, that gives me some, something to think about. But one of the main differences is that like the video at the food truck, which I had never watched before until you sent me that link today and getting ready for this. The gag order, came down, but there was already some stuff out there in the public before the gag order came out. So we get to see some stuff, but that's kind of it might be good and it might be bad because it fuels speculation and you don't have the stuff that comes after that to answer some of our questions about what's going on in those.
Yeah. I thought even when we were in like the deepest throes of this case, it was causing confusion even among people. You see one thing here and you go over here and you see another thing, and then you're like, well, what does this all mean? And it can drive you crazy. But there's the difference between the Delphi rabbit holes is we literally saw that information in the court documents, and all the things in Idaho. Ann Taylor hasn't talked about any of a lot of the things that have been talked about on YouTube. And so when she does, I'll jump right on board with her. I'm there for it. I've always said the whole time during this case, I'm here for it. Whatever Ann brings, I'm willing to listen to, but there's been a lot of discussion about alternate theories in this case that Ann Taylor has not even given us a hint. Was it even investigated or looked at, or even that she wants to look at, to like point a finger at a third party culprit or something like that. She hasn't done any of that yet. She's basically, motions to get her discovery and motions to, now we see this slew of motions to suppress that just came down. So yeah, there are some things that are worth talking about and looking into. And the Grub truck is important because it was the last known location of the girls. It was the last time they are seen on video or anywhere, and that we know of, unless there's a camera right there on their house that we don't know exists yet, because the camera that is beside their house does not point at their home. It points to the intersection there at the stop sign. So, I've even speculated, was there a camera that could see that house? Because we have to pull up the maps to show you what I'm talking about, but on Taylor Avenue, there's a concrete steps that lead right back to King Road House, and you can use it as a cut through from the university. We didn't know if there was a camera right there anywhere, because there's a statement that was made by Kaylee's sister that says we can see the girls arrive home. Well, there's a camera that can see the car bringing them home, but that's about it. But then she said we also can see them walk Murphy. Only way to see that we know of is if they walked past the neighboring house down the street walking the dog. Then maybe you would see the girls at that point. If not, there's a camera sitting right across the street from that house somewhere. And if they can provide that eventually, that would be big. Because even the PCA says that the car attempts to turn around. Annie, hush, barking at the cat for no reason. That a car attempts to turn around or park in front of King Road home. Again, where's that camera? We've searched the maps. We've looked all over these maps, and there's not a camera that we can see anywhere that's going to see the front of that house to see what that car's doing. But
Okay.
I got to take this dog inside. But if you look at so the only reason I can think if there's not a camera trained on the house, and they're going by the neighbor's house at 1112, and it's dark, do they see headlights, turning, and they're assuming it's doing something because of that.
So there was a camera at 11. There was a camera at 1112.
Oh yeah, it's a big black camera that screws into the light bulbs outlet.
Okay.
And we have there's photos and video out there of it still at the home, and I've got the photos where the officer is walking away with it, but they had to download everything from their cloud. So there was at one point a leaked image that came from that video, or came from that camera, and it's not the video itself, it is just an image. I'm not sure where it came from. It doesn't show us anything but cars in a parking lot. But I think it was leaked to show what this camera could see, which is going to be the stop sign at King and Queen when you turn. And that's the camera that captures the car coming into the neighborhood.
The Elantra, the white Elantra.
Yeah, alleged white Elantra. But that camera, because the PCA says that there's an audio from like 50 feet away from the home that can hear a thud. So y'all check those thuds in the night, because they could always be something, we've learned. But only camera within 50 feet of that house is 1112, right next door. But it is literally trained.
If we click on their front door and we go over to the front door of 1112, 67 feet. So 50 feet-ish, 50, 60 feet. Yeah.
And that camera faces the intersection there where the stop sign is, and the car comes in off Taylor Road And it has to go right past that house to access the King Road house. Yeah, there you go.
So is Taylor Road the one that goes north and south to
Yes,
get
right
to
there.
King Road?
Yeah, it's right there in the front. It runs between the neighborhood, and there is the Banfield and the Sigma Chi house. The one where your arrow is pointing right now is Walenta. It's also important, but Taylor is right there. Yeah, that's Taylor. And Taylor comes in out of the main part of the town there, and it comes right past the King Road location. Yeah, see if you back up, you can see where it's all right there. But when you turn off that road into the neighborhood and then turn off of that, because technically the house was on Queen Road, but everybody called it King Road, right? Because you turn off the neighborhood, that's King Road, and then you got to turn onto Queen, which is where their house sat. And that house, the neighboring house, sees that intersection clearly. And it's going to see
Gotcha.
the car. It sees it can also see the DoorDash delivery driver coming and going. We don't know what kind of car that person was in. We don't know anything about them. I know there's a channel who claimed they knew, they found them, but they didn't. So we don't know what that car looks like or anything of that nature yet, but it does capture the DoorDash driver coming and going, and it captures the sedan entering the neighborhood the 4 times it talks about it to the PC. And then the leaked footage that we have that I sent you is from Linda Lane, and Linda Lane sits right. See the big 2 white complexes right there to your right? That's Queen Road Apartments, right? Now, just to the bottom right, there's another set of a little building right there, right there. That is where the leaked footage came from. It can see that parking lot there, and you can see the car coming into the frame. It'll turn around in that parking lot. It goes back out, and I think the 3rd time it comes back, it dips behind those apartments. And yeah, where your arrow is. So you can come up Queen Road, and you go around those apartments. You'd come in behind them just like that, and then you can literally see Queen Road house from behind there, and it's super dark. There's no cameras. And that's allegedly what that's what the PCA
Yeah.
says he allegedly did. Is he came
Well,
back
there's a
there
car
and
parked
parked.
right there. There's a
Yeah.
car parked right there, even in this aerial from 2022. So this was July of 2022. So it was just a couple of months before.
Yeah. And we have this laptop's going to drive me nuts. There's been a lot of creators who went there and walked and drove that, so you could get a really good visual feel for it. And how it's kind of tight back there, a little tiny road. It's an incline up there to that back parking lot. But you can literally, let me find when I wonder if I have that in the Discord. It's like I think it is, what do I have? So many damn videos out there on that area. But when you get back there and you can literally sit right there in that parking lot and see the entire back of that house. You can clearly see where Maddie's bedroom was. Like I said, was telling you, she didn't make it a secret that was her bedroom. She loved her pink cowboy boots, and they're displayed in her bedroom window. There's a big pink M in her bedroom window. You can see all of that from that back parking lot right there. So you could easily see when a bedroom light goes out or the kitchen lights go out. You really can't see the front of the house at all or any kind of light or activity from that direction. But from the back of the house, you can see the kitchen area, all the lights, and you clearly see where Maddie's room is at. Let me see if I've got the drone footage. There was so much. I don't want to play Tony's drone footage. Lord, he did a drone footage. I'm not even going to say that. I gave it to. Let me see if I do have it, but it's not his. Okay, yeah. Let me drop you this link, Joe, and we'll see if we can see any better from it. Why won't it do it? Oh, I see what it's making me do. Hold on. It's kind of like Delphi. If you don't understand the lay of the land, to me, it always helps to visually see things,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That
Yeah.
walk that I took that day on October 31st was just so eye-opening to me, like so revealing.
Okay, yeah, let me grab this link real quick and I'm gonna send it over to Joe. We didn't do this on my channel. I wanted to be outside. I don't want to be inside today. I spent all day in there yesterday and it's like, let's just do it from yours. I'll go outside. Okay, copy link. I think that copied it. Let's see. And I'll send it over to Joe and we can play. Okay. Yeah, because it was hard to get an idea on the surroundings of this place. Because in the beginning, we weren't even sure if you could get behind those apartments there, the Queen Road apartments, but you can. And it took creators going down there and walking around and to help us understand. Okay, I sent the drone footage over there. It's in general chat, Joe.
Okay. You want to take a look at that next?
Yeah, that way everybody can kind of get an idea of the layout there, and you can see that there's actually roads that just circle that neighborhood. So, and we'll get into that more in the PCA as driving routes and things. This is from a local news station there in Idaho. And that's the front of the home, and then to the well, I'm looking at to the right, that other house you can see, that's 1112.
And then the Queen Road apartments are off to the left, up in the top.
Yeah. Yeah, the red brick apartments there. And that's the kind of behind the house at an angle. And you can see the neighboring house, 1112. And you can see where the Queen Road apartments are. And this is going to look back over Taylor Avenue. They're at the front. There's a lot of snow on the ground during this one. There wasn't that kind of snow when this was all happening. It was just like starting to get cold there enough to do all that. I think there was light snow in the area, but not heavy snow.
So you can see footprints going into the back door there of the kitchen, and some of them come from off-site to the south.
Yeah, see that little road right there where that car just drove past? That's between the house and the apartments that also leads back to that little parking lot we were viewing. It wraps around Queen Road apartments, so you can, and it's like a tiny little road too. So this is on this side of the house, and where that car is at, like I said, that's a little street there that you can get to the back parking lot from. So, and allegedly, according to the PCA, if the car is parked behind the home, makes entry, does everything that happened, comes out and gets in his car, he leaves using that little drive right, or that little road right there, and then makes a left to go back in front of the house. And they say he speeds away at a high rate of speed. So I don't know if a camera sees him.
So
Go
the
ahead.
1112 camera sees him leaving shortly after what they believe was the time of death.
Yeah. 420, I think, is what the PCA says. The car leaves at a high rate of speed. And if you look at a lot of the crime scene photos, is what I call them, from when they were doing their investigation, there's a big tire skid mark almost in front of the King Road house. How long it was there, I don't know. Was it there previously? I don't know. But there's crime scene technician out there measuring the length of the tracks, taking the photographs, doing all their things, getting the because you can see the tire impressions and all that. And that'll only matter if that impressions match something on that Elantra. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they have no way of knowing how long that was there. I'm assuming that they did take it into consideration, considering they think he sped away at a high rate of speed. You know what I mean? Did he get on it suddenly, trying to get out of there quickly and do a little burnout? I don't know. Who knows? And so that what you're seeing now is the Sigma Chi house, which is the house where Ethan lived, which was Xana's boyfriend. See, there it is. And then you can see the Queen Road apartments there and the King Road house from that location as well. And that road in between is Taylor Ave. And that's the band field. The big green grassy field is called the band field. That also comes into play. Well, some things went down there that people have talked about, but nothing directly tied to the crime yet. But so that's where Ethan lived, and he was the boyfriend to Xana. And that's where he and Xana were earlier in the night, and then they went home. But you could literally walk from, his home straight over to their road, to their house in no time. And in the beginning, the police continued to say things like, we need more information about the whereabouts of Ethan and Xana on that night. They can pinpoint, Ethan had went to a dance earlier in the evening with his sister. He was a triplet, 2 boys, 1 girl. He went with his sister to that dance. From what we understand, he met back up with Xana, his girlfriend, around 9 p.m. at that frat house. Something happened at the frat house. The cops haven't talked about it, but it's out there. Like an altercation or some sort of argument between Ethan and another guy there. But then what if Ethan and Xana just like, screw it, we're going home, and they went on back to her place? But I feel like if they had went across that Banfield and up Queen Road and took a left on King, that camera at 1112 would have seen them 2 walking home. But they could have went on to Taylor and up the concrete steps, you know what I mean? But we don't know. We do know they were at home. Go
If you
ahead.
look at those, if you look at the white lines that go across there, what those are the foot trails where a number of students have walked across there, and they packed down the snow. So the snow along those paths didn't melt off as quickly as the snow where people didn't walk. So those are the standard footpaths from the frat house down to Taylor Road. And it looks like maybe they could have gone between the buildings. So if you started the frat house and go down
You're right.
diagonally,
There is a concrete set of stairs right there that leads straight up to right in front of the King Road house. I mean, you walk up that path and walk up those stairs, and boom, there. When I first realized that, I was like, whoa, is this a way for someone to come in and out? But so yeah, they always, because the university sits just off there, you can't really see it, but on this side of the Sigma Chi house. So kids were always moving around that Banfield in that whole area, walking around. It was not going to be unusual to see a number of them walking around at any given time.
yeah, there are those concrete steps right there, right on the left side of the screen.
Yeah.
Where if you walk diagonally from the frat house and then in between those buildings in front of that parking lot, right up those steps, straight to the King Road house.
Yeah. And from what we can tell on any of the maps, now people have told me there are a camera there. Another creator that I talked to a lot said that another creator was down there and saw the camera, but I still haven't seen it. Even on any of the maps I ever went to, I've never seen this camera. But we have a picture of some investigators standing behind King Road on that little road there, and they're literally pointing toward the front of that home. I don't know what they're pointing at. It doesn't show anything, but 3 of them standing there and one's pointing, and they're all looking. Are they pointing at a camera that we don't know about? I don't know. People say that a lot of the cameras at the Queen Road apartments weren't working properly, which if you ask me, they should have been, because that's a very dark area, and I'm going to send my kid to college and put them up in a place, you rent them. I'd like a little more security, but whatever. But there was no cameras. It was super dark right through there, like really dark, around that house. If people were home with their lights off, but if there was, say if it had been not, because there was a football game earlier, and if it wasn't 4 a.m. and it was more like 1, 2, or even earlier midnight, you're going to have a lot more activity and noise going around out there than what was happening around the 4 a.m. And that's allegedly what time all this was getting ready to take place.
Right.
Let's see. I don't know if we should start. Let me see what chat wants to do. We can start going over the PCA, but if a lot of you are kind of, because I don't think a lot of people are familiar with it, but we also have the Grub truck video we can show in case people haven't seen that. Because they're, let me get it This stupid laptop. I'm going to have to trade this thing in. Something's wrong with
So
it.
they cause it instead of a probable cause affidavit, I've got probable cause order. Is that just an Idaho thing? But there's also an arrest affidavit by the police officer.
Oh, you don't. Hang
Brett
on.
Payne.
Let me get in the Discord and look. Let me see what you got. Oh, wait a minute. I could have done it from right there. Duh. Okay. It should be. Let me look here. So I can't. I'm on the phone. I'm looking at you on the phone. I got to make that bigger. It's a long probable cause. The
18
affidavit.
pages. Okay. All right.
No,
Let me get that one.
you want the affidavit. Yeah.
All right.
Let me click on it and pull it up too. So if I'm reading, I can see it better from
There
here.
we go. Statement of Brett Payne.
Yes. And remember, he was talked about in the hearing. Remember how they were saying things like, I mean, not the hearing, but the documents we just read the other night, how they were copying and pasting. So he has a statement, and also Mowry has one, but this is the one that was released, the Exhibit A here, with all the charging information and everything. So I've got a glare. Let me get this fixed. Because in my opinion, the darn thing was kind of scattery with like with the car movements and the phone movements.
Yeah.
It would just be scattered about in the PCA, and you kind of
Yeah,
had to
Dizzy
Yeah.
says let's go over the Grub truck video. I'm kind of
Okay.
leaning that way too.
Okay, that's fine with me. You guys, y'all will take the lead. We are good to go.
All right. I dig that.
Well, let's do it.
Now I got to see if I can find it.
It should be in general chat or
Well,
the
I had it.
channel. I can't remember which one I sent it to you in. I told y'all I get confused in my own damn Discord and don't know what channel I'm in, and I'll just be like, what da da da.
Well, I had it pulled up earlier. I can't believe that I would have closed out of it, but I guess I did. I've got Linda
Yeah.
Lane camera footage, video
Let me
appears
come
to
look.
show.
Let me look and see which channel I dropped it in. Hold on.
That's not the right one. There's Joe Vido.
Should be above that.
Yeah.
All right, let me look at this. Let me see.
Hang
where
on,
I'm at.
guys. Hang on.
Yeah, sorry.
I literally have too many tabs open in my brain, let alone in my computer. Kohberger's route.
Oh, go back to the Kohberger channel, the live hearings channel. That's where I
Okay.
had dropped it at because I'm so unorganized. I just like drop it
There we
wherever.
go.
Yeah.
All right. So they come in about 3.5 minutes in or so, right?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So I'm going to start about 2 minutes in. So it's going to take us a minute to get there once I share. There we go.
Coke Zero, he said Coke Zero. Coke Zero. You gotta get on that diet. Coke Zero, right? I say Coke.
I don't want anything to drink.
Water.
Yes.
Two waters? Water. No, one water, one Coke. One water, one Coke.
No cheese, got it. I got it right
Looks
here for
like
you.
kind of a chilly night in a college
one water,
town,
one Coke. It's gonna be
but
19
not
bucks for it.
cold. Not terribly cold.
Sorry.
Shit, there's my wallet. Oh, well, you did. And then don't worry. And then I looked over Reddit and went, oh, okay. Because I saw it. I think I saw it earlier.
I don't know how much is here, but let's see.
All right, no cheese.
I'm excited to find
It's
out.
right there for you.
We'll do this minus from that, and then the rest I'll do on my card. Okay, done. Yeah, split. It's like 12 bucks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been
12 bucks, so it's just gonna be $5. $5. Once I clear, yeah, it should just be $5. Just 17, right? Yep. Or no, it's 19. Okay. Because it's 16 There's 2 mags, and then each drink is $1.50. Oh, that's 19. Thank you, brother. Give me those. Thank you. Thank you, man. 476. Yeah. Thank you.
What are your first 4 max? All 5 cheeses?
One basil pesto. McDonald's.
One ones?
How's your night going?
Good. How's your night going?
It's going extremely well. I cannot complain. I was able to sit down, so.
And then they'll come to me.
I mean, that's good. It's like, I hate dealing with fucking people, so.
Oh, it's pretty fun,
I hope
honestly.
people didn't mind.
Very, very rarely are they not, and then somebody in their group.
Yeah. I mean, that's weird, but like,
It's amusing, though. It's fun to walk with people. Have a good night.
Right there. Okay. So if you pause, for a second, I want to let everybody know that this video was found by Kaylee's sister because someone let her know that the Grub truck, they live feed this stuff on their Twitch channel. And it used to be up on the and may still be there. I don't know, but that's where I originally got it from, the whole video. This particular one that we're showing now, I came from Jeff H's channel because I knew it was there. And I had it in my Discord, but it disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. But this is when the girls arrive at the Grub truck. Now they had just came from walking down from the corner club, and we have that video as well, but we should have probably started with that one and went to this one, but we'll show it in a minute. But they come they leave the corner club, and they're with a friend of theirs, and the 3 of them come down a sidewalk, and I think it's like 5 or 6 minute walk from the corner club where they were at partying to this location. And you'll notice that Maddie has on a black jacket. That's Madison Mogan, and it's way too big for her. And Kaylee is the other girl, and Maddie seems to be a little more intoxicated than Kaylee. But
Okay,
go
well,
ahead.
let's go back. Let's go back and watch that other one real quick. We can do that.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's go sequentially, so it makes more sense in my mind. It helps me process it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is it, right?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Walking and talking on a sidewalk. The 2 young women seem to be wearing the same clothes they had on when we saw them in surveillance video from a food truck earlier that night.
No, this is
Senior
after the
national
food truck.
correspondent Brian Enton explains how this.
This is after the food truck.
No. He's wrong.
No?
This is them walking
Is it?
from the corner club to the Grub truck.
Okay.
new video surfaced.
We know that police have had this surveillance video, this new video, since right after the murders, but it is just now becoming public for the first time. And it is not just video, there is also audio. Surveillance video newly obtained by News Nation shows what appears to be Kaylee Gonzalez and her best friend Maddie Mogan walking in downtown Moscow, Idaho, just hours before they were murdered. You can hear their voices in the video. For the first time, we are hearing the name Adam. The attorney representing the Gonzalez family says they believe Adam is a bartender and that he is not a suspect at this time. The Moscow Police Department not commenting specifically on the video, but in a statement to News Nation said, any digital content submitted as tips and leads becomes part of the investigation. We review and investigate submissions. Findings become part of the information we do not make public to maintain the integrity of the investigation. Meanwhile, the Gonzalez family is questioning whether the investigation is being handled properly by Moscow police, especially within the first 48 hours after the murder.
All right, that's enough.
But yeah, so you see the girls walking down and they're, Kaylee does ask Maddie, what did you say to Adam? I told Adam everything. And that opened up a can of worms of speculation. We all wanted to know what did you tell him?
Interesting.
And Adam was the best friend of Kaylee's boyfriend. And we do know that Kaylee and her boyfriend were having some back and forth about their relationship and their future. Could it have been something related to that? I don't know. No one knows what the hell Maddie told Adam except for Adam. And we haven't heard from Adam.
I would like to the car banana. Can I have like a free Grub truck on my app?
Oh, yep. So what you want to do is.
So they're ordering and they're ignoring the group of three that just ordered before them but
Mhm.
suddenly she sees somebody that she knows over on the other side waiting for his order.
Yeah.
Because that's that side of the food truck is where the orders come out.
Yes.
And I only know this because I watched 2 minutes of this before this.
Yeah. Yeah. You order that where
Yes.
Kaylee's standing, and then you walk down there to get your order. Yeah.
We'll actually do this. There you go.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
How many more do you need? That's the second one? Awesome.
Don's mom. Oh wait, yeah, one.
Maybe I
Here.
didn't have a treatment.
It's right here.
And then
See that? She's kind of stumbling around a little bit. Like I said earlier, it appears to me she might be a little intoxicated.
Yeah, Maddie was. I mean, she wasn't shit faced falling down on the ground. You can obviously see that, but she was stumbly. She had her a good time at the corner club, I think.
what was the Mac?
Don't forget to move this.
Carbonara.
Carbonara Mac of the week.
Here, I'll grab it for you.
Excellent. And then click see rewards.
Enjoy.
And it looks like you do not quite have enough points yet.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
$10 for it.
I do have a big burrito pork here for you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Where's the pen go, guys? Where's my pen? How are you guys doing? How are you? I'm doing fantastic. Assumed I lost my pen, but that's fine. What can I get for you?
Can I get
Just two Don Juans?
Definitely. I get.
So she is clearly aware of the guy that's standing behind her, and she is noticeably ignoring him.
Yes, she
Like,
is.
yes. She's like, I could see her kind of look over her shoulder just a little bit, and he's kind of standing over there, like closer to her a little bit. Like he's not standing with his two friends that he ordered with, and he's been standing the whole time. He like wanders over nearer to them, and she like looks over her shoulder a little bit, and then like moves just slightly away from him and keeps her back turned to him.
And it was when you first saw this, you noticed something with him right away. And then I told you that, yeah, he's actually come out and spoke about things about this. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. But yeah, that guy's interesting because he did come out and say things. So
Just see him kind of glance out of the corner of his eye at her. And then she like, as soon as he turns the other way, she like turns and like, that's
she's
not
gonna
necessarily.
Yeah, and if you notice, you can still see the guy right behind the guy with the long hair and the sweater. He's got his hoodie on. That's Jack. I'm going to say Jack S. He's the one that walked down to from the corner club with the girls to the Grub truck. In a few minutes, you're going to see Joe, the guy in the big guy in the tan jacket, is going to go stand and talk to that guy. Maddie's going to turn around, point right dead at them, and say something to him. And she says, "Fuck you."
Pork tacos. Oh yeah. How many pork tacos would you like? Just come with one. It's one, but they're like 6 to 7 ounce tacos. They're not like small little street tacos. I don't eat 2, 3 is a lot for me.
So one would be fine if I was getting pasta or
yeah, that's gonna be almost 2 pounds.
Hey, Joe, hold on a sec. I just wanted to address one thing real quick. I just noticed a comment where somebody has seen on another channel that Xana is in this video. She's not. Xana and Ethan weren't here at the Grub truck. People have tried to put them there. People will tell you, well, look at this person, this is Xana, but it's not. There's a lot of us out there who beg to differ, so I guess people are going to have to take that for what it's worth because you got the actual video to look at. I don't need someone to tell me she was there when I can clearly see she was never there. But I just wanted to point that out because I've heard there's just so much with this case. They do more damage to these cases than they do good. Because I don't know if Brian Kohberger's the guy or not, but to place this, these are the victims we're talking about. If I saw Xana anywhere in this video, I'd have been the first one to point it out. You never see Xana here.
Well,
what does
that prove one way or the other if she's there? Or if she's
well, which theory you want me to talk about with it? I mean, there's so damn many.
No.
I told you a couple earlier that there was one it's been alleged that once these girls leave this grub truck and make it home, that their murders are shown live and all these kids at the grub truck are watching it on their phone.
What?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure somebody would have been like, this is not cool. I'm going to the cops. Or I'd have went and told my mom, like, what the hell are we going to do about this? She went
Right.
around to every one of them up on her own and dealt with it. But that's my mom. But yeah, there's just a lot of, I don't mind answering questions or having them asked, but if you can't prove she was there, don't state it as fact. And I've seen the channels that place them there. But I'm telling you right now, me and a whole bunch of other creators have never seen those two, Ethan or Xana, in this Grub Truck video. And we've analyzed the hell out of it.
So, but they placed them there in some sort of an effort to come up with a conspiracy theory that they were involved in the murders? In some way?
Yeah, in some way. Not that Ethan and Xana were involved, but they weren't at home. They all these things. It's just so much. I don't even know which one to pick to say that why people. There were different theories as to why they were put there, by certain people. And like I said, I saw somebody last night in a chat say, "Go review my video. It explains it all." Well, this morning I went and reviewed that video. And I see a blurry video that didn't need to be blurry because we've got the actual body cam footage from the Banfield. But for some reason, it's that same footage, but it's all blurred up. And you're telling me what all I see. And I don't see any of that. So we have to be real careful with Idaho 4.
Oh, they weren't salty. She wasn't talking about this video, I think. I think she was talking about the tire tracks video, maybe.
What about the tire? What's that got to do with Ethan or Xana being there?
Was Xana seen talking? I don't know. We need to make sure we're talking about what videos we're talking about.
Okay, let me just ask, Jay Bird, are you talking about Xana being present at the Grub Truck video?
All right.
Somebody wants to know, how do we find the documents? Oh, it's easy. We'll have to drop a link for you guys. I can put it on the channel. Idaho 4 has a really amazing case summary site that you can go to. Pulls up all the documents from Brian Kohberger and all their top cases, as a matter of fact. All their nice and neat little package. No hunting them down, none of that, like we had it with Delphi.
Okay. I don't know about that stuff. I don't know what's.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm assuming that she's talking about the Grub Truck video because she said Xana is in the video talking.
Yeah. Either way, I don't know. As just somebody on the outside looking in, I don't know what that proves one way or the other. If they were or they weren't, it doesn't matter to me. I'm interested in continuing down this video and this interaction with this guy in the tan hat and the tan jacket.
I agree.
And she's studiously ignoring him, and they both have literally turned their back to him. And he was talking with his two friends over there, and then he turns around to go like stand next to them again, and they're ignoring him again. And that's fascinating to me because there's
a reason she's ignoring him.
Right. It's not an unusual situation for a college town or a bar scene, even like a bar scene in anywhere in America is like this very attractive female is like ignoring this whatever. I'm not going to judge him one way or the other, but ignoring a guy that's interested in her and she's not interested in him.
Yeah.
It's very
okay. You got it. 2 pork tacos. Done. 1 5 cheese, 1 basil.
Pretending like he's looking over there across the street. That's funny. I just walked next to you, but I'm not interested in you.
Oh, hey, I figured it out, Joe.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do this. Hold on.
Okay, hold on. Let me pause. All right.
Okay, Jay Bird, I think I know what you're talking about now. There's a video, because I've done a TikTok on it, with Xana coming out of the house, and she's talking about herself and about what she does at school and everything. And is that the one you're talking about? You say you can see those tire tracks there. I think people have said that before, but I didn't notice them in that video, but I I haven't looked at it in so long. I don't know. But so if you're saying that they were already there during that Xana video, then they wouldn't have nothing to do with the Elantra. You're right, because they would have already been there prior to that night. And that's what I don't know about. You know, when were those tracks laid is a good question, because they are out there taking measurements and photographs, you know, to, I guess, to see if they can match it to a vehicle later on. That's cool that you cleared that up, because I wanted to ask, because I don't want, you know, there's so much information out there. I don't mind going over it. And I don't want to mean to seem like I'm upset or anything, but I know people have literally placed Xana and Ethan here and will tell you that person over there in the dark corner is them when it wasn't, you know. So that's all. You're good. Y'all are good.
So you got triggered by that. That triggered you.
No, no, I'm just like, I wanted to
down,
stop and find out if that's what they were talking about was this video, because she's not there. And I know there's been a lot said about them being there. So that's what I'm saying. You got to be careful with Idaho, because there's so much out there. Like there's 50 different theories. Pick one that we can investigate. We're literally going down 50 rabbit holes of what could have happened, who should have done, you know, all these things. And every kid in these videos have been doxxed because of it. So it's just a little touchy that, I don't know, we can really, doesn't matter how many theories we come up with on the side, what's going to come down to is that evidence in court. But when Joe reviewed this video this morning, he honed in on Sketchy Guy immediately, which was funny to me because Sketchy Guy has come out and said things, and we're going to get to that in a few minutes. Okay, we understand you now, Jay Bird. You're good, girl. Thank you, Dizzy.
Yes. Thank you. I'm glad we got that cleared up. Thanks, Dizzy, for sticking up. And
yes, thank you.
So we get this figured out.
If we decide to cut, since we listened.
Oh, people have fallen. People have fallen over reduce for you. Sorry, I'm talking to Twitch stream. Oh, you're so good. Absolutely. Thank you. How are you doing?
Pretty good about yourself.
I'm doing extremely well. What sounds good?
Can I get a big burrito?
Yeah. For the big burrito, would you like pork or chicken? Chicken. Got it. And then you said a Mountain Dew?
Yes, please.
Excellent. Big burrito chicken and a Mountain Dew. We're going to do $11.
Yeah, where's the
Here's Mountain Dew and order 80. Thank you very much.
Hello.
So once again, this guy with the hoodie over here is the one that walked with the girls from the corner.
Yes, from the corner club over to here.
Club.
And his name's out there. His name is Jack Showalter. He was literally just arrested a couple days ago, or like a week ago, over in Boise, for something. He was drunk or whatever. But
so he is interacting with these three over here.
Yeah.
I need 2 chicken burritos with extra slaw.
2 chicken burritos with extra slaw.
And I clarified this earlier, but I'm going to clarify it again. This is an actual true timestamp, more or less 1:44 in the morning.
Yes.
A bunch of drunk college students getting their drunk munchies taken care of, or whatever munchies taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
$19 for it.
I know I have a $6 waiting for me. I would like to use it.
Awesome.
So,
Let's see rewards.
Fuck, I just hit your jacket. Sorry, man.
yeah.
So that's a college town. I got to rewind that just a tad. This is a college town because in the middle of winter, you got people acting like they're cold when they're wearing sweatshirts and winter coats, and you have this dude.
Yeah, everybody noticed him right away.
Let's see rewards.
In their tank top and shorts.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything.
Oh, always.
That's pretty university too. Like
Okay,
students
keep,
in
watch
January
this part of the
walk out.
video.
Thank you.
Thank you. Extra slaw? Is that a charge? No, it's not a charge. It's just a modifier. Hello.
They have Apple Pay.
How's
We
your night
have
going?
Apple Pay, right?
Of course we do.
Of course you have Apple Pay. Yes. Hi, camera. I'll get okay. Chicken taco.
Chicken taco. You got it.
I'll do the 5 cheese mac and cheese.
Okay.
She's kind of leaning up against the truck there for support. She's
Yeah, and Kaylee is hot and heavy on that phone. There's been speculation as to what she was doing. I think she's talking to Jack, still her boyfriend. She was probably messaging with him. Who knows who she was talking to. But she's pretty much on the phone the whole time. But in just a few minutes, you're going to see Maddie in the black jacket point directly at that guy.
No, please. No, I'm getting yours no matter what. Like, please, he's waiting here. We'll do 2 5
studiously ignoring the guys behind them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm adding 2, or you're making it. It's now 2.
Oh,
Sorry.
2.
You're adding 2. Excellent. Gotcha. Okay. Anything else?
3? Come on, you're the last one. Okay.
You got it. So I have a chicken taco and 3 5 cheese mac and cheeses.
Yes.
Okay. $27.75.
Hey.
How many apples in the mac of the week? 0, TJ. 0. Order 82. Thank you.
We already ordered 5 cheese mac and cheese.
Wait, you got one?
Yeah, come on.
Oh my God. Can I get a magnifier?
You got it, man. One magnifier, $9 for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, let's go.
Tough.
Of course. Awesome. Dessert burrito for right.
Order 80.
Wait, what is that? What is that a blow up of?
Okay, this is, like I said, this video came from Jeff's channel, and Jeff's aware that the people are trying to say that was Xana Kernodle, but it's not. That's why he highlighted it to point that out.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
All right, and then
Haley's still on her phone. Oh, fire in the truck.
Time to start the old car. It's been a while since this engine started. Let's see if it starts. V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V V.
Are you hearing that? What is that?
It's some
Extra
random
sound.
shit. It's just random shit that the Grub truck throwed in their video on Twitch.
Okay, gotcha.
In just
I
a
was
few
like-
minutes, like you're gonna keep watching Maddie as she reacts to that guy. Turn it down.
There we go.
Yeah. Because the guys are over there talking shit. I don't know if Maddie can hear what they're saying or not, but she's going to turn right around and look right at him and point at him. And it appears she says, fuck you.
Oh, she's off her phone now. They can have a
Yeah.
conversation. Now she's back on her phone. Good grief. This generation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, whoa, hold up. We see pointing.
this bad boy.
Tebow's thinking to himself, if I start slowing down on Meg, maybe I'll get to sit down. He's going to try to sabotage me.
I actually was wondering if I was going too slow and you're going to switch it back. And I was really scared of that.
Did you see that?
Yep.
She's pointing with her head to the left.
Actually,
Watch her here.
was wondering if I was going too slow and you're going to switch it back. And I
You
was
see
really
that?
Yep.
What is that about?
She's nodding
scared
towards
of that.
him.
That's what I was scared
Nope.
And then she looks out of
You
the
guys
corner
know,
of
you
her
guys,
eye.
like, the highest take time I saw was 13 minutes, which is, I'm very satisfied. You guys have worked on the truck, and Derek and I have been the ones on Grill and Mac, and we've had longer ticket times than that. Like, you're doing well. Really?
I got news for you.
Hell yeah. All right, what did I miss? Reduce, reuse, malls? Yeah. Fuck yeah.
That gets on my nerves. And then like they want their numbers to be called. Okay. Are you knowing
Tomahawks, what's the side for? Hello. How are you doing?
Speed up a little
Doing
bit.
extremely well. What's on you? Yeah, definitely. Death by garlic. We'll add chicken to it. Anything else for you?
And then I do the 5 cheese.
And 5 cheese?
Yes. And can I add chicken to that?
Of course. We're doing death by garlic with chicken, 5 cheese with chicken. Anything else?
Typing back on her phone. And taking a picture.
Any NFC, go band, any whatever sort of payment you have on your phone, we can take. Order 84. Thank you. We do not have the scan one though. So like if you're trying to pay with Cash App, you have to like scan a thing. We don't have any sort of QR crap. How are you doing?
Sorry, go ahead.
Good. Excellent. Sorry. What can I get you?
Can I get 2 chicken tacos?
2 chicken tacos. You got it. What big burrito? 750. If that's everything for you.
First slice.
Yeah. Slide tab. Insert. Facing you with a chip. Any other. Order 85.
Can I get the big burrito? Whatever you really
Where did it just go?
Can I get it on that Chipotle?
And then Hoodie Guy goes to follow them.
Without the onion salsa.
He goes the other way.
And do you guys have
They
sour
went
cream?
left and he went right, but they haven't got
Yes.
their food yet.
Yeah, they did.
That's everything.
Would you like chicken or pork?
They got it before the people that ordered before them.
So we're doing
Kaylee
chicken
got
burrito,
carbonaro,
no white sauce.
and then they went and got their ride. She apparently called for a ride share there.
There we go. 950 for you.
So was that pointing that I saw like a couple minutes ago, the FU pointing?
No, Maddie extends her arm and point. It's the first time she points at them.
Like our dual box.
I
So
don't know,
did we see it and I missed it?
It's just didn't read it.
Yeah.
No, go for it. That's everything.
Would you like chicken or pizza facing you with the chip? Any other? You can say.
I do the 5 cheese.
And then like they want their numbers.
Have been the ones on Grill and was thinking to himself,
Because I saw them. I saw her point right there.
"This is two. This
Is that it?
Friday, Saturday in a row. They got you down."
Say it again. Hold on.
Love it. Very
So
pleased.
Joe,
All
how
right,
close are we
back
to
in.
you sitting down like Friday nights?
I mean, that was a solid rush.
Right there. Is
Yeah.
that it?
Yeah, there's a. You can almost. He's got the noise on this one. You can hear the guys talking so much right there at the where they're ordering. But in
Right.
the original, which I don't even know if it's still out there, you could hear her very faintly. But it appears like she's like, fuck you, and then they're like a little back and forth. And I don't know if Kaylee, apparently the ride share guy that came and picked them up, Kaylee had gotten rides from before, like she knew of him or whatever. The sister even alludes to that in one of her interviews. But so they get a ride share. It's like, I think 10, 15 minutes to that back to their house from where they're at. So when the girls go to the left to go walk off camera there and got to their ride share, that's when Showalter realizes they're leaving and he takes off and he goes toward the right. And then that's, we all know what happened not long after there. That's when the girls get home. They walk the dog. They continue to try to call Jack. And I say continue because it appears Kaylee's probably trying to message the shit out of him right here at the Grub truck. But I don't know. But they both when they got back to the house, both of the girls were trying to place calls to Kaylee's boyfriend's phone, and he wasn't picking up. He wasn't having it.
Interesting.
But that's the Grub truck video that everybody talks about.
Okay. He didn't act. There she pointed at him again.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Let me, oh shoot, wrong thing. Now, the guy there that we've been talking about, Joe, the guy in the tan jacket, he came out and said a few things. Now he's deleted his TikTok since then, but Grizzly True Crime had it still up on her channel. And I went and grabbed that to show Joe, to show him what we were talking about. So we're going to look at that too.
All right, here we go. And what's his name?
Joe Vido.
With a T at the end, like
A
Frat
D.
Vito.
It's D, isn't it? Yeah.
All right. So do we want to start at the beginning of
Yeah, this was not a, because it's not, she's going to talk about what the article said, what he said, and then I believe she shows his TikToks that you can no longer access.
What was previously said in a November 23rd article from the Daily Mail. This is about food truck guy, tan hat guy, as we know him. His name is Joe Vido. He's made some comments on Plunder's TikTok. He's also made some comments on Conspiracy's channel. And so we're going to look at his TikToks right after this. The reason I'm quickly going to go over this section is in case anyone missed it, because I know there's been a lot of content on my playlist and all over the internet. So maybe you missed the coverage of it. So here they said, new details have now emerged about Consalves and Mogan's last night out from Joe Vido, a local man who saw the two co-eds out on the town and in the hours before the attack. Police had previously said that the women were partying at the Corner Club bar the night before the attack. Vido was also there and said that the women were catching the attention of many men at the bar. If you missed the episode where we looked inside the bar, like I showed you guys pictures of it and everything, it can't be that many people in it, which is also, it's not like he's just staring at them. I think it wouldn't be that hard to notice them, especially if they were maybe as drunk as what he's saying and what you'll hear in the TikTok videos. Anyway, they say a lot of guys were talking to them at the Corner Club, he told thedailymail.com, adding that Consalves was visibly drunk. The taller girl with the pink on, she was glass-eyed. Now, in the TikTok, you'll hear why they quoted him as saying that. I audibly said, ew, out loud. She was just stumbling through. Again, he explained that too. I know there's a lot of us, we were like, why would he say ew? And some people said it's maybe ooh, but he himself has confirmed ew, and there's a reason for it. So hang on for that. He said he left the Corner Club ahead of the girls and was with a neighbor who had just moved to Moscow, showing her the Grub bus, a food truck popular with students with the late night munchies. I was just there waiting because the Grub bus takes forever when a bunch of drunk zombies show up there, he said, noting that he was 100% sober. That's when the woman showed up with a guy in a hoodie who has been the subject of much speculation among internet sleuths as a suspect. That would be white hoodie guy, Jack number 3, Jack Showalter. Police have not named the man, but said that he's not considered a suspect. I saw the hoodie guy show up with the two of them. The vibe I got from him is that he's super nice. He was trying to help them get home safe, Vido said. Now, in his TikToks, you'll hear that he didn't tell the reporter, yes, I saw him arriving with them. He actually says something else. So I'm just going to leave it. I don't want to misquote or misspeak. I want you to hear it straight from Joe, which as I say, comes from his TikTok account. You can find it yourself if you have TikTok. It's literally at Joe Vido. So go and follow him over there and check out all the content yourself. He said that when they catch the killer, which I really hope they'll catch that killer soon, oh my word, that is such a dangerous person, goes into a house in the middle of the night and brutally murders 4 people. So he said he'll probably delete all his TikToks about this once they catch the killer. But I'm glad that he provided some information. It's always good to hear what was actually said to the reporters and what really happened there and why everyone, including Dr. Phil, is also interested in talking to Joe Vido, because he's like, I don't know as much as you people are saying. I was there waiting for mac and cheese, So I've got lots to say, which will probably be in other episodes. For now, I just want to focus on this. Now I'm going to show you Joe Vido's TikToks. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and like the way that I present true crime, please hit the thumbs up, share the video, and I will see you in the next one.
Joe here. I just wanted to jump on this and make a video real quick and kind of just squash some stuff that I've been seeing. So, first and foremost, I feel super awkward that I even have to make this video, but I've been like not really keeping track of all of the stuff that's going on with this investigation for those girls that were killed. And to start off, like the very next day when they had announced the murders and when they had shown the photos, as soon as I saw the photos, I messaged the two people that were in that video that I was talking to, my neighbor and then another guy that we had met earlier that night who I thought was really cool. And we invited him to come with us to Grub Bus. I was like, hey, weren't two of these girls at the Grub Bus with us last night? And they couldn't remember, but they were also very drunk and I was not. So I did have, there's a drink called a Larry Craig. That's like a really popular drink over here. I did have one of those at Corner Club, but I mean, other than that, I was totally sober. When they confirmed that those were the girls, the only reason I knew that it was those girls was because I saw the video that said, oh, they were seen at this thing. Because I actually called the police right away and was like, hey, I think I might have information. I just need to know like what was one of the girls wearing, because I remember one of them had like pink, because the one that bumped into me at Corner Club was wearing pink. But nobody called me back from the police, and I was like, okay, they're probably just swamped with information, probably whatever. But then when the video came out and people were like, no, those were the girls, and those two people were like, dude, those were the girls, I was like, okay, I'm gonna physically go to the police station and talk to the police. I told the police everything I saw, which is different than what I think is going out there right now. And I was just waiting for food. I'm just like everybody else in town that waits for food at the Grub Bus. It does take a while. Everybody goes there. And so that was kind of the thing. It was like, no, if you're ending the night, you end it at Grub Bus. But other than that, I don't really have any like crazy information. I don't know why everybody's reaching out to me. I don't know why so many people are trying to spin things around. And so what I've decided to do is that I'm only commenting on things that are like ridiculous, so try and give clarity. But man, people are really turning this into something it's not. Sorry, I had to do this in two parts because there's a lot. And I'm also shivering. It's cold and I'm in my truck. Yeah. So I wanted to address a few things specifically. One being the news article that came out was the first person that I actually like talked to with the news media. A lot of media outlets have reached out to me, and I've just ignored them because I just was like, man, I just was waiting for food. Like, I have nothing to add. I've given all the helpful information I can to the police. It would make zero sense for me to give any more information to random people. But these rumors that are going around were just like crazy. And I didn't have a bad vibe from the guy that people were dragging through the mud. I don't know if he did it or not. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I could speak to the vibe I got from him, which was all people really wanted to know at first anyways. And I thought he was fine. Now, the news outlet that I talked to, I mean, he really embellished some stuff I said and added his own words to things and kind of changed the verbiage. I wasn't defending anybody. That's one thing he said. I wasn't defending him. I was just saying people need to stop spreading rumors because that could ruin his life. What if he's innocent? It would ruin his life. The other thing he said is that I noticed him come in with the girls. I didn't notice him come in with the girls. I didn't notice him till I cracked the joke to the frat guys because I thought it was ridiculous that it was like freezing outside and that guy was in a tank top. So I just made a joke because that's how I make friends. I don't know. But that's when the guy chimed in and I noticed him. I didn't notice him until that moment. When I was at Corner Club, when I said ew, some people were like, "What? That's such a weird thing to say. Why would I?" That's what you say when you're standing talking to friends and somebody really drunk, like they smell drunk, they're like bouncing around and they bump into you and like rub up against you. Like that's it's gross. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but she was really, I mean, you can even see in the Grub Bus video, she walked between us several times and just couldn't even walk straight. That girl was very drunk. She's actually the only one that I thought was really drunk. And she was the only one I noticed at Corner Club because she had bumped into me. Another thing that was weird is that the guy who was interviewing me from the Daily Mail or whatever it was, he said glass-eyed, and I was like, sure, yeah, like that. I didn't actually even use that word. That was his word. And then as far as the car goes, yeah, there's a car that pulled up. I couldn't remember what it was. I couldn't remember if it was black, blue, gray. I couldn't remember. I just remember there a car pulled up. Ooh, so cold. So yeah, so I didn't know what color the car was. It was dark. And I just felt like when I told the guy, I said it was a dark car, I couldn't remember what color it was. And I think when I was at the police station, I couldn't remember what color it was. They asked me to. And yeah, so but the Daily Mail guy was like, no, you need to, like, was it blue? Was it black? I was like, I can't remember if it was blue or black. I can't remember. He's like, we'll just say dark colored car. And I was like, okay. I was like, I think it was a 4-door sedan, but this guy got out and was like, hey, let's go. What's going on? Because the girls were making videos and laughing and they were trying to grab all the food. Every time food was coming out from the Grub Bus, they were just trying to grab it. And they thought it was funny. And I mean, it was a little funny, but they were trying to grab all the food that was coming out. And when I went up and I talked to the guy at the Grub Bus, I said, did you just give them food? Because he just said, here you go, like that, and gave them food. And then they ran off. I actually told the Grub Bus, I was like, that was really nice of you. He's like, yeah, they just need to, they need to get home. And I was like, yeah, they were trying to climb into the Grub Bus. So, I mean, very drunk. And then honestly, as soon as they called my number, I told the guy, I said, they're leaving, bro. And then because they called my number, all I could think about was pasta. I couldn't think about anything else other than just eating macaroni and cheese. And that was it. I didn't give any other thoughts. I didn't think anything else about it. Yeah. Some people have said that, like, I've seen some people say, like, oh, I think it's suspicious how much Joe remembers. I'm an adult. Like, as soon as I realized that those were the girls that we saw there, I tried my best to remember everything and recount it from that night because I knew that it would help in the investigation. Some people said, oh, Joe might have been the suspect. Dude, I have cameras in my house. I literally have the time I walked in my house. The girls were still alive at that point. And I have a can of soda that I had in my video, have it in my hands, walking into my house. So yeah, it wasn't me, I promise. And other people were saying that I was excited about like a claim to fame or something like that. What is wrong with you? That's such a disgusting thing to think. Like, who would be excited about this? I've literally ignored everybody. Like, everybody. The only reason I even answered the Daily Mail guy at first is because he showed up to my friend's house. Like, physically showed up to my friend's house trying to find me or trying to get information about me. Crazy. And yeah, I just wanted to help. Part of me too felt guilty because I was laughing. I kind of laughed at the girls, watching them be drunk because, I mean, let's be honest, anybody that lives here, the whole reason that the Grub Bus has a Twitch stream is because the people, I call them zombies, but just kind of like because they're just people come from all walks throughout the night. A lot of drunk people come there after they've finished their night drinking to load up on carbs, eat food. Police come there that are working late. They come get their food. They just park right behind the bus. People like me come there who just want pasta in the middle of the night. Yeah, it's all walks of life, all people, but it makes for an interesting crowd pretty late. And so they always live stream it. That's the reason they live stream it. So that camera footage that you guys are seeing, that looks like surveillance, it's not surveillance. It's a live stream for Twitch for the Grub Bus. One thing I did say that I'm glad that was reported truthfully is that, you know, I have a little girl, and I mean, she's a baby. She's like not even 2 yet, and she's my world. And you know, there's a dad out there that these girls that they're his world, you know, and they're gone. So, and I just felt kind of guilty because instead of helping them when they were drunk, they were entertainment. While I was waiting for food, they were just the entertainment. They were just the drunk people that everybody laughs at, you know? And it's sad. And some people think that's disrespectful. I mean, it was what was happening. They were drunk. They were out there drunk like that. And one of my toxic traits is that I take on the weight of everything that's going on around me, both personally or just even with friends and stuff. And so any of my friends that know me, they reached out to me pretty much right away because they knew that this was going to be eating me up. And it has. And I haven't been following what people have been saying until just recently. You know, somebody sent me a TikTok video that had the most ridiculous things on it, and I tried to set those straight. And apparently it fueled more Reddit BS and more rumors. I don't understand how people are making this into an entertainment thing. Like, I live here. My friends are scared to walk to their cars. I'm a big guy. I'm strong. I don't feel super safe going outside alone at night either. I just hope people realize that there's real people that are affected by this stuff, you know, yeah, I just wanted to help, you know. Sorry, I put my hood on. It's really it's really cold. Like there's snow outside. But at the end of the day, I mean, I feel like there's people need to stop trying to reach out to me to get statements. There's so many other people that know more about what's going on than I do. I just happen to be getting macaroni and cheese at the same time as them. And other than like those couple minutes there, I can't really speak to anything else. And people need to stop dragging whoever through the mud, especially if you don't live here and you don't know anybody, you don't know what's going on really. Like this isn't funny and it's not entertaining. And I believe that the Moscow Police Department is doing a really good job in trying to kind of just do damage control. But like, let's be honest, the FBI is like on it. You know, I would be surprised if they have a really good idea of who it is. They're just waiting for evidence, you know, evidence to just make it concrete, you know, because one of the worst things that can happen, you guys, is if they catch the murderer and they arrest them, bring them in, and then they have weak or refutable evidence and that person walks. Think about that. You know, so ease up. Don't be jerks to the police, you know. They're literally like, they don't want to give information out because this is like a really tight investigation, but they know things. They know things. I don't understand why they didn't. I will say my one critique, I don't know why they didn't put out right away that a car picked up the girls and was waiting for them in front of the Grub bus. It took them way too long to do that. And there was a lot of rumors going around saying that the girls ran away from that guy. They ran across the street. And that's really when I started to like, man, I should say something, you know, online. But, you know, I work in media and marketing, and I'm a musician, and I have a lot of things that I just want to like give the world. And I'm sad that this is kind of how my name got out there. That makes me really sad. I'll probably delete these videos as soon as they announce the murder and it's all over. But until then, please just stop. Today I talked to somebody from Dr. Phil. They were wanting me to go on Dr. Phil and talk about this. And I'm like, why? I don't think people realize how little I actually know. But like I've said, I've been pretty much ignoring everybody. I'm not going to talk to any more media. There's actually, let me backtrack that. There's a lady coming to Moscow tomorrow who I'll probably have coffee with, but other than her, that's it. Stop spreading rumors. Sorry, I put my head on. It's really like it's really cold. Like there's.
Yeah, he likes to talk, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with you in the chat about the way he sees things. None of us ever saw those girls trying to climb into the Grub truck, so I don't even know where the heck he got that from. Because you can literally see them from the time they get there until the time they leave. And we see a lot of things going around and all the talking and walking around they're doing, but never once do we see them trying to being as the way he described. You know what I mean?
Well, and so this is a key one to me, because if there's any kind of a sexual aspect to this at all, he said she was so drunk that she bumped into and rubbed up against him. And I absolutely did not see anything like that going on.
She tried to avoid him, right? She was trying to get around him and stuff. It wasn't, so if she did stumble into him, it was a complete accident. It wasn't like, hey, let me do this. So that the guy, and this happens in a lot of different cases, you'll get that one or two people that will come out and start saying things and then backtrack, and then because people were talking about him in a way that he could have been a suspect, and Jack as well. And that's where he said he was coming out to like not really defend Jack, but to speak on Jack or whatever, the guy that was walking with the girls from the Grub truck, because there was a lot of speculation about that kid, because he apparently did leave town not long after that. Like, or he's like, oh, his parents flew him to Africa, or they took him away to their cabin, and then it was all, no, he went to Africa, and I guess he's back now because we know he got arrested last week in Boise. But there's just, people like him put a lot of speculation into this kind of case when they come out and do start talking and continue to talk. And he was that person. He came out and made statements, so that kind of he caused that light to be shined on him. You know what I mean? And triggered media wanting to talk to him and social media wanting to talk to him because he came out and said things. So, there you have it. But it was interesting this morning when you saw that Grub truck video. That's, you honed in on that guy right away. And I was like, yeah, that's interesting you did that, because he has come out and said things. So.
Yeah. And he has a tendency to exaggerate. That doesn't make him in any way complicit or guilty of anything other than exaggerating his story. And I know people like that. I know harmless people who exaggerate all the time. Not saying he's harmless, not saying he's not, but
we have to remember we are all just coming off Delphi, and just because somebody was somewhere doesn't mean they did something. Doesn't mean they didn't, but doesn't mean they did. And and if this guy was ever a suspect in could he have been cigarette butt guy? I don't know. Was he ever looked at by the authorities? Like, seriously looked at? I don't know. Apparently he did talk to them and tell them, I saw the girls that night at the Grub truck. Here's what I saw. What they did with all the people who did, I don't know how many people reached out to law enforcement saying, hey, I was at the Grub truck that night and I saw the girls. I don't know. So I don't know if he was like investigated as a suspect or just spoke to as a potential witness of seeing the girls in one of their last locations, but he felt obligated to come out and say things. And, at the time when he did it, the people who were speaking out, there one in particular just kept wanting more. The more panels she could go on, the better it was. And he seemed to kind of back off from all that, especially I think when this case began to blow up and all the TikToks were coming out about it and everything, it really shined a light on him. And I guess he's like, oh no, I don't want no part of this. Kind of like Enon Harsh in the beginning. He was a neighbor who lived there. I think he lived at Queen Road apartments there, but he came out as a real sketchy dude. Like no shit. He really was sketchy, and he had all kinds of stories to tell. And I saw this, I heard that, and he knew of the girls and things of that nature. And we have gotten body cam videos of him being pulled over in Washington and things of that. We've all looked at that guy. In my opinion, that guy was just like an idiot out talking, trying to insert himself into a case to get some fame. Now, he was a known chef, known to handle knives, wasn't afraid to really talk about that. I think he had made a comment too about offering the girls wine one time, just all these things this guy was coming out and saying. But so of course people were attracted to that and like looking at him now, and there was another channel that's not around anymore, unfortunately. He done some really deep dives into that guy. Not this guy we just looked at, but the Enon Harsh character I'm talking about. And I was willing to be there for it. So I watched every video he did. It was compelling. And he tried real hard to see if there was a connection between Enon Harsh and Brian Kohberger. And the only closest thing I could see that he came up with, they were both into hiking. Other than that, the guy could never come up with anything on Enon that would place him at the murders. You know what I mean? And so I gave that. I'm really open to listening to alternate theories. If you gotta have some receipts at some point to back something up with. And he was the closest one at that time that came to anything. And so anytime he put out a video, I was going to watch it, whether I agreed with it or not. I wanted to watch. And because that's what I checks and balance my own self with, right? I don't want to lean too far into one way or the other without me watching opposition of that to say, okay, well, let me think about both sides of it. So there have been a lot of different people talked about with this case, but nothing that I've seen that can really, I don't know, that proves anything other than their theories, and there's none of that's been talked about in any court documents, not even from Ann Taylor at this point. Doesn't mean she won't eventually come out and say something. She did come out at one point, and that's how we learned there was somebody followed in the beginning before Brian's arrest that they were following, and they ended up getting a cigarette butt he threw out. And compared that DNA, I guess, to the sheath DNA, and we're able to rule that person out based on that, I'm assuming. Ann Taylor also said in one of the hearings that because you got to remember, this was a party house, and we have 3 or 4 body cams out there of these parties. And in one of the videos, a cop goes to the door, but they finally get someone to come to the door. Nobody who lived in that home was home. Nobody. So you had 100 kids in your house partying, and none of the people who lived there were there. They ended up calling Maddie on the phone and letting Maddie know, if you don't shut this down, y'all are going to be in trouble. And she had to be like, okay, and so there was always a lot of DNA in that house. And when we see the crime scene videos, they're inside the house doing their work, and they're in that living room. I don't know if it was News Nation or who it was. They got a really good zoomed in there, and you can see the crime scene people in the living room. And I should have sent Joe that video, but I'm on the phone. I'll have to jump out and grab it and then jump back in a minute because that's worth watching. But they're in the window of the living room, and there's something in the living room evidentiary because they're taking photos. They're bending over toward the floor, taking swabs and things of that nature. Which now I forgot what the whole point of telling y'all that was about, but let me think about it for a second. But there's just been a lot, and I don't know I don't know who all they really investigated, but Ann Taylor did come back in court, and she stated there were 3 unknown male DNAs. Everybody's like, what? Even me, I'm like, what? I'm listening now, Ann. Where were these DNAs collected from? Were they on doorknobs leading to the bedrooms? Were they, say, you're in there with your boyfriend? Was there a handprint or something on the headboard? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. We don't know because if you think about it, though, if you got that much DNA in a house and you collect a ton out of the living rooms, there's video. You can see that the beer pong table was moved over. There's drinking cups, Lorette Solo cups everywhere, beer cans, Trulia cans, all the things. So how much DNA do they actually collect from that house? And the 3 unknowns that Ann spoke of, were they from the living room? Were they from the bedrooms? She says they were in close proximity to the victims. That is the only time Ann's brought those DNAs up. She hasn't went back down that road again. I don't know if she was got found more in her discovery to ease her mind with those or what, because it's important. We all know that. We just saw in Delphi, you got all this DNA you haven't tested that came from in and around your crime scene. So if you got some unknowns right there near your victims, that's going to be a problem for them as far as prosecution goes. Could there have been more than one person in on this? Because you got the DNA sheath, but who were the other DNAs and where did they come from in the house? I think is going to be important. It's, it's hard. That's why this DNA thing is hard with Idaho, because everybody's like, there's so much DNA in there. Yeah, but there's only one sheath. And according to the report, there's a single source male DNA. And I've heard people say, well, what about, if the sheath was on the bed underneath the victim, there had to be blood everywhere and things of that nature. I'm sure there was, but they don't mention other DNA on that sheath except for that single source. But you can literally take and examine that piece of evidence and determine if your victim's DNA is on that sheath, right? So you would be able to single it out as to compare to what was underneath that snap. So let me look at chat real quick.
Right. And the one thing that's a comparison or an anti-comparison to Delphi is the fact that they're testing all of this DNA, where in Delphi, they just held on to it. They're like, we don't need to test it. It's unknown male DNA.
Yeah.
Unknown male DNA. We have Elvis Fields, who asked Murphy as he was being dropped off one day, if my spit is found on one of the girls' bodies, I can explain it. So he didn't ask it, he said it. If my spit is found on one of the girls' bodies, I can explain it, right? Nothing happened after that statement. Nothing. Murphy didn't take him down to the station and say, explain what you meant by this. He didn't get a probable cause affidavit to take his DNA and compare it to the DNA that was found on the girls' bodies. Nothing was done with that. So, I mean, at least in this case, at least in the Idaho 4 case, they're doing extensive DNA testing, and we know the defense is going to challenge it. We know Ann is going to challenge it, like, to the best of her ability. She's an excellent death penalty defense attorney. So we're going to see it challenged, and we're going to see how it pans out in court. And we're going to see if he gets convicted. We're going to see it again on appeal, and maybe again on appeal to the state Supreme Court, and maybe again on appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. But, I mean, at least it was tested.
Yeah, and that had to be sent to Othram Labs because, there's another channel out there I respect her a lot, Jules of All Trades. She and I see things very differently with Idaho 4, but we've always been able to have good conversations about it and things of that nature. And, she even made a video the other day, and in the beginning, everybody has speculations about that lab, Othram Lab. But once you look at them and you see what all they're capable, they're solving 30 and 40-year-old crimes or unsolved crimes, being able to identify DNA from the deceased person 30, 40, 50 years ago. Like, because we have the technology now that can test those samples and figure out who these people are. And they're doing it. So Moscow PD is very tiny, like Delphi. But the difference here is Idaho never said, get out of here, FBI. Not one time. They're like, please come, please do all the things and help us. So they did. And the FBI has been heavily involved in this case. And then when you have your suspect leaving the state and crossing a state line and going cross country, you darn right they was following them. That's your suspect. You should be. If you're not doing a thorough investigation. Where the hell's he going, right? That's my suspect. So all this, there's the difference is the FBI has been involved with this case, and they collected and did a lot of investigating. They have their full cast report over here, and so back to the DNA though, Idaho State Lab wasn't able to get a good profile because it wasn't that much DNA. And so that's the problem though, because it was so little, people were very concerned about how they got a good profile, right? And I don't know that they did, because we know that IgG was used. And if you did so when they ran what they had, when they developed the profile, whoever that DNA belonged to was not in CODIS. So wasn't an already known criminal in the database, you know what I mean? So it had to be somebody that was never in the database, ever been arrested, or, you know, and their DNA taken and uploaded to CODIS. But Ortham is the one that had to build that DNA profile. And they're a very good lab, and they're very good at what they do. So I can't sit here and say, oh, that's junk science. They don't know what they're talking about, because they do, you know. And I heard people, you know, they want to discount the FBI in Idaho, but that's the same people who are wondering where the FBI was in Delphi. So it's like, do we just pick and choose when we want them around, or no? It's hard, you know.
Well, the FBI is like FEMA, and the local and state agencies do have to invite them in for them to come
Yes. And you can kick them out. Like we seen that in Delphi. Well, come on in, FBI. Oh, no, we don't like what you're saying. Goodbye. But that never happened in Idaho. They came, they stayed. And in fact, a few hearings back, that's one of Ann Taylor's biggest discovery motions problems was not getting everything she wanted from the FBI. But she knew as an attorney, it was going to play hell getting that from the FBI, but she had to push it in court. And Judge John told her, he's like, if you can get the subpoenas, I'll sign them today. And she'd already done her TUI report and everything, because you have to go through that process to get to the FBI. And then she was able to obtain 2 subpoenas for the FBI. The thing about the FBI is they don't have to honor those subpoenas the way civilians do. So I don't know if they ever gave her what she was asking for. She hasn't brought those particular things up again. So I don't know if she ended up getting what she was asking for, because she was wanting more than just their cast viz report. She also wanted, you know, like emails between agents and detectives, and the notes she took, like with Dan Doolin and Delphi. She would have wanted those damn notes you used to prepare your actual statement. You know, and over here in Delphi, we don't have them. We don't have this. We don't have that. Well, Ann Taylor would have tore that stuff apart like nobody's business, because she started early on in this case wanting training records of individual officers that were there on scene collecting evidence. I understand that. How thoroughly were they trained in collection of evidence? We saw how sloppy they were in Delphi as far as collecting evidence. Oh, there's some sticks on the bodies. Let's just pick them up and toss them to the side. Pretend they weren't there. We'll come back in a couple of weeks if we need them. Well, that's what happened. We saw what they were doing with the DNA over there. So Anne immediately wanted training records, and people immediately assumed it was because something was very, very wrong. Well, it might be, we don't know yet, but she had to figure that out if there was or wasn't. Do you know what I mean? If you got somebody with very little training or very new to the job or have issues in their past with this kind of stuff, that's chain of evidence or chain of custody at that point. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's going to be her angle trying to get the sheath out or not. It'd be interesting to see how she does some of this stuff. But I'm here for whatever she's got to bring. You know, I'm open to listen to all of it. Let me look at the comments for a few minutes. Yes, no, all the documents in Idaho are sealed. They do put out, we went over 13 motions the other night before last, and on my channel. And they do put out documents and you can read them, but as far as the exhibits and the evidence they're talking about, that stuff is all sealed up. There's a gag order on this case by both parties. Both parties wanted the gag order, not just the prosecution. And that's one of the things the judge had a problem with Ann Taylor about. He's like, look, you're trying to choose what you want sealed and what you don't want sealed. And she's like, you know, don't call me out like that, Judge. But he did, because there was a few things she asked to file be unsealed. You can't have it both ways. You don't be like Judge Gull and seal some and not the other. Either you do it all or none at all, you know. So I don't think they'll ever lift the gag order either in this case until it goes to trial.
So when are they going to lift it in Delphi? When is Judge Gull going to lift the gag order in Delphi?
Allegedly after sentencing. we'll see.
Allegedly. Yeah, we'll see.
Allegedly go. Let me see. I was just checking on the comments here.
Yep. Do we want to look at any more documents? We can look at more documents. We can look at that affidavit from Payne.
Yeah. Yeah, we can start there. If you guys have any questions along the way, let us know. I will double check the Discord and make sure there wasn't anything else we wanted to show that they didn't see yet. Because we went over the walk from, what did you tell Matt? What did you tell Adam? We saw that, and we're seeing the Grub truck there. And then we saw Joe's Vido's stuff. Go ahead, Joe. What were you saying?
We have Linda Lane camera footage.
Yeah.
That we can watch.
So this Linda Lane footage starts at 4 a.m. We have it. It's out there from like 1 or 1:30 in the morning all the way to like 5:30. But I think the car enters back there first around the 3:30 something mark. But start at the one I sent you starts at 4 a.m. because that's the one that's most important. This is leaked footage, guys. The person that this sits right behind the Queen Road apartments and looks down over a parking lot to the right of the apartment. So you have to come past the King Road house, past the Queen Road apartments to get to where you're going to be looking at. And so this footage was leaked last year, beginning of the year, end of the year, I can't remember now. And allegedly, from what we understand, it was sold to a woman who leaked it, or gave it to someone who leaked it. And it was sold to her from the landlord of this complex right here, this little apartment building. But this is the Linda Lane footage. And this has to be what the PCA used because it literally matches what the PCA says about the sedan coming into the neighborhood that 1112 can see. The other house we were showing you a few minutes ago that faces the stop sign. So we can see the car coming in right there. Come down, it'll come past all the apartments, and this camera picks it up behind those apartments, and it does exactly what the PCA says. So you can go ahead and start it.
Okay, we're rolling.
And if you, I don't know how many of you have ever seen this or not, but if you can literally see the wood lattice fence there, just the other side of that fence where the lights are, that's where this car will come into play, and that's where you'll be looking.
So this is 4:04 a.m. So at what time do we supposedly see this?
I think the first time we see it's going to be 4:05 or right after the 4:04 mark, because the car enters the neighborhood. The DoorDash comes in at 4 a.m. and the PCA also says this sedan comes in right around the same time. Like they literally, I think they almost have to pass each other. And I wondered at one point when this car came to the back here, because I don't know who's in that car. I'm going to call it suspect vehicle 1, the way the PCA does. Did this suspect car see that DoorDash car and it startled them?
Did you see those headlights? We just saw headlights. I'm going to back up and play that again. Look up in the top left. We see headlights reflecting off of a building. A little bit after 4:05 a.m.
Yeah, and that'll be the first pass he makes through there.
What building is that
Actually,
they're reflecting off of?
The Queen Road apartments.
Off the building. Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to come in, pull into that parking lot, and he's going to back up and turn around and back out to leave. He's not going to go around behind Queen Road yet. Now, Jeff H., another channel, we reviewed his Grub truck video. He does an overlay with this to see if it's a white Elantra. It's very compelling, but I just don't want to put ideas in people's head like that. See, it backs up and it goes back out the front of the Queen Road the way it came in. Now, it's going to come back again in a few minutes. I think at the 407
a 3-point turn. That was like a 3-point turn.
Yeah. Okay. So when it came by at that point, it didn't go behind the building to look, behind the house. So I don't know if it saw a DoorDash car at that point, and that's why it went back out the way it did, because it's going to come back in just a minute.
All right. So I have to look at this on a map. So I pulled up Google Maps. So show me where this car comes in and where it does a turn. Leaves.
So if you come in off of Taylor Road, where I showed you we were looking at earlier.
Okay, up here.
right, and come down to the little intersection here, right there,
Okay.
turn, that's Queen Road, all the way
Yep.
down, all the way down. There's right there, that big, there you go. Now you're doing what the car did. Comes in
Okay,
there.
so the camera is on the front of this building, like this
Yes.
bluish gray building.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So they
And it
see
looks,
him come in and do a 3-point turn and then leave.
yes. And when
Okay.
it comes back in a minute, it's not going back up to do the 3-point and turn around and leave. It's going to dip behind those apartments this next time. You'll see that.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay.
And then second point, go back to your map for a second, Joe.
Okay.
Now see where that blue car is sitting, you noticed earlier this morning when you and I were chatting?
Right here
That's
behind
allegedly right. So when we see the car come back at 4:08 in just a minute and come down around behind those buildings, it's alleged it parked right there in that same area because you can see the house.
Okay,
and
so
it's
it goes in
super
front of the
dark.
Queen Road. So it goes in
Yeah.
front of the Queen Road apartments and comes up here. Then where does it go after that?
Okay, on the 4:08 mark, then a second there. See those trees between the two buildings?
Yes, right
You
here.
can literally there. You can drive around that. You'll see it. The car's going to come right there.
Oh,
There's a drive. For a long time, a lot of us don't live there, didn't know. Can you get behind there? Well, you absolutely can just drive right around it to that back parking lot and then park right there and see your victim's house and
interesting. Okay,
Maddie's bedroom.
so it's gonna go.
And on the back side of that is
That's what
Walenta
that-
Drive.
So he's gonna go like this, and there's a way to cut through where these trees are here.
Yes. It's a drive. It continues on around the whole building.
Okay.
And remember that 1122, which is the little house on the right?
1112.
Yeah, right there. That camera will see the car enter the Queen Road, and then you go back down to the Linda Lane footage, and there that car is seen again. And those times are matching up. Like I said, I don't know who's in that sedan, but it's circling its prey, whoever it is.
So we saw that first footage. No, let's expand that. So 4:07 a.m.
Yeah, he'll come back there in a few minutes because I was literally watching this with a friend of
I
mine
see
one
headlights
day.
right there. Right there.
Yeah,
Here we go.
there they come. And if you'll watch, it'll dip down behind the building this time. See? Now watch those lights on the back of that car. To me, right there, it appeared they just went out. Like they didn't pull over and park and turn the car off. They just killed the headlights. That's what it appears to me. If you just
Boom.
watch the building and the reflection as it goes on around.
This is right after he turns off to the right around
Yeah.
that building. Boom.
No, it ain't
Wow.
come back yet. So let it come back again and watch. See if you see what I think I'm seeing. Like it appears to me the headlights just get turned off right after it goes behind those buildings. And the only way you can tell is watch the reflection on the building.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I saw that. So watch that right there. So there's still headlights on the building, and then 3, 2, 1, dark.
Yeah. So then does that car go park and facing that Queen Road house and can see, or King Road house, and see that now the lights are all off? Because it's come through there like 4 times before it finally stops and does anything. So if you go by this timeline, that's 4:08. So you park that car at 4:08. Just give it 4:08 for shits and giggles. That car speeds away at 4:20. That's how much time or little time was spent in that house doing the unalivings. So if you say the car sped away at 4:20, what time did that person exit that house and how fast did they get into that car and leave? Do we give it 5 minutes? Do we give it 4, 3, 2, 1? You know what I mean? So that's the timeline of when these murders happen. They had, if this is the person, they didn't even make entry into that home till at least 408, 409. And so whatever happened in that house happened pretty quickly. Boom, 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 boom. Or 3 casualties for being at the wrong place at the wrong time and being awake. Was one a target, and that was the only intentional target? And the other 3 were collateral damage trying to get out? I don't know. Is that enough time to unalive 4 people quickly? I mean, when things are going and happening super fast. Now, there used to be a way to get into this house. Like it was, I don't know if it still works or not. Some say the link still works. Some say it doesn't. I have it in the Discord. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but you could enter the house, and it was like a 3D mock-up, and you could go into the house, and like me and 2 friends one night, we're just messing around. We're like, let's try this. So we know at 412, according to the PCA, Xana is on her TikTok account. And so we went into the house. We're just like, okay, let's pretend we're this person in this car. Let's park this car at 408. Let's walk into the house. Let's slip up these stairs. What time is it? And we would all look at the time and say, okay, let's say we're doing this and that in this room. We just unalived one and quickly unalived another. Now we're going back down these stairs to get the hell out of here. When we walked back down those stairs, we stopped, and I asked my friend, I said, what time is it? She said 412. I said, TikTok. Because and we were being generous with our time, let me just tell you that. But when we came down those stairs and I said, what time is it? And she said 412, I was like, whoa. You know, and we know that Xana, according to the PCA, her TikTok account was open at 412. So that would put Xana still alive at 412. And we know she got that DoorDash order at 4 a.m. Was Xana awake and on TikTok in her room, on her way to the kitchen to dispose of the garbage or to get a fork or whatever, and run into somebody? Because we know that the PCA, Dylan states she can hear somebody say, someone's here. How calmly was that said? Was that oh shit, someone's here. Oh, someone's here. You know, and if it was that quietly said, how could she hear it that well unless she really had that door open and was listening? And then she states in the PCA that she also heard a male voice say, don't worry, I'm here to help you. Well, if you know the layout of the house, if that was said in Xana's room or up in Kaylee's room, Dylan would have never heard it unless it was being screamed. If she heard it when she opened her door, that means it was happening right there in the living room, right where we see crime scene workers taking evidence from. And I often had to wonder, well, did Xana's attack start there? Did she make it back to her room where Ethan was, which by that time has alerted Ethan something's wrong, and he's now getting up? Well, what the hell's Dylan doing all this time? Is she just really super drunk and naive girl and 19 and like, oh my God, they're just making a bunch of noise. It's a party house. Everybody's on my nerves. Well, I don't know either. It's, you know, there's a lot of speculation about that out there. But again, nothing that I've seen that can back it up other than that it's sketchy as hell.
So on this Linda Lane footage, do we see the car go back through after the deed was done?
No, because when it speeds away, apparently it goes the little road right there next to the King Road house and the Queen Road apartments that we were looking at the drone footage, that little road right there. It goes back down that road, takes a left out and speeds out. And then that's when the 1112 camera sees it leaving. And I'm assuming that if that's the only camera that can see things, it sees this guy just getting the hell out of there quickly. You know what I mean? And that's where they get left at a high rate of speed. Because how else would you know that if you didn't have a witness? Now, people have speculated, was Bethany a witness that saw that outside her bedroom window? Because her room was on the first floor and she faced the road. And Dylan's was in the back of the house facing the other facing the back. So while Dylan's texting her, because when the PCA says downloads from the surviving roommate's phones, meaning they have their phones and they see there's communication between these two girls. What that is, we don't know. But is she texting Dylan or Bethany saying, I'm hearing shit. Do you hear things too? What do you think's going on? Did Bethany look out her window and see a car speeding away, but not realizing it was speeding away from their house? I don't know. We don't know what she saw yet. And there was a lot of speculation about that because she took off and went to Nevada. And or was it Las Vegas she went to? Yeah, I believe it was because she has family there. So everybody was speculating, you know, why she got the heck out of town. And then the defense come out and said that she may have had exculpatory evidence. And they literally subpoenaed her, wanting her to come back to Moscow to talk to them. But they worked it out with her attorneys, and Ann Taylor has stated this. This is not just something I'm making up. They ended up making an agreement, and they did talk to her. But nothing has come out of that conversation yet. Ann's not brought that up anymore about that girl having exculpatory evidence. I don't know what she was able to tell investigators and what she wasn't. She's not even named as a witness in the PCA. Only Dylan. And the only thing Dylan allegedly saw and heard was the things I've already described to you. And of course, most of us know she saw a bushy eyebrowed character. Who that was, I don't know. You know, I know they allege it was Kohberger, but that's where they got that from, was her. And as far as
problem is,
ahead.
problem is he's not the only dude with bushy eyebrows in.
No, he's not.
Moscow.
But I could, if he legit had on like a COVID mask and maybe a hoodie, you're not going to see anything other than the eyes. But then you got to ask how much light was on in that house and how did he not see her? And if you look at the floor plan, the way her door cracked, her bedroom door is at the landing of the stairs that leads up to Kaylee and Maddie's room. So when this person goes upstairs, if they went upstairs first and unalived Maddie and Kaylee and then came down and got Ethan and Xana, they have to go up and down right there in front of Dylan's bedroom door. There's no way around it. You have to do that. Bethany's way down on the first floor, never knows anybody's up there until Dylan tells her that something's going on. So, you know, how much light? Now, Mr. Steve over at True Crime Web did an amazing reenactment thing. He does this all the time. He took his basement and he tried to recreate that floor as best he could. And there was a neon sign in the living room that says it's known as the good vibes sign. There was one there and one in Kaylee's bedroom. If that light was on, was it the only light on? And if so, what could Dylan actually see? So Mr. Steve done an experiment, and he has this dummy, and he tried to make it BK's size. And so then you place yourself in Dylan's bedroom door, and that door is cracked open. The way she describes, it's cracked open. She's peeking out, and she can see this character coming toward her, which would be coming through the living room, back away from Xana's room. And then he slips to the kitchen and presumably leaves through the back door, the back sliders. So Mr. Steve recreated the kind of light you would use with that neon top light to see what this girl could and couldn't see. And literally, even if people were like, well, why didn't she see a knife? And if you look at Mr. Steve's video, you can see that she's not going to be able to, and if he's clad in black, the way she described, you're not going to see a whole lot of anything except for those eyes. But not even the eyes. Just, I don't even know how you could see bushy eyebrows, honestly, if there wasn't more light on other than the neon light. But we all know a neon light can be kind of bright. So as he has to pass right by that light, going to her door, toward her door to leave. How much could she actually see versus what she couldn't see? That's a hard one to figure out.
Right. Well, another one that's hard for me to figure out is if one of those girls was the target and three of the others were collateral damage that he did away with, that he unalived because they happened to see him, catch him, or he saw them, or whatever it was. If one was the target and he did the other three as collateral damage, why wasn't she also collateral damage? Because if she could see him, he could see her. I'm sorry, but he could see the open door. You don't.
Think about it this way, though. If you went in there and and this is taking BK, I don't know who that person is in that house. If you went up there and thought you were just going to go after one person, Maddie, because everybody, it's from the way the crime scene has been described to us and the steps that were taken throughout, it appears Maddie was the first one. So if that's true, and that was your one and only target, and you went in there to do that, and then Kaylee just, that messed up the whole thing. And then it got really real fast. You run downstairs to really get out of there, and boom, there's Xana. Things are happening real quick. By the time he's trying to head out of there, is he even paying attention to that door? I would. Like, did it? So if he had been stalking these girls, he would have known there was more than just the ones that, he would have known who all lived there. He would have been aware there should have been 2 other roommates. But if you're not actively going in trying to harm everyone in the house, by the time you get done with that 4th victim that you didn't even mean to go in there after, are you just trying to get the hell out real quick? I don't know. Would he, how much of a crack was that door open? You know what I mean? And if it's super dark, are you going to notice that door's cracked open? I don't know. I would think I would see her, or I would at least notice that door being cracked open, but it depends on how fast I'm trying to get out of there. I don't know.
Yeah. And how wore out are you? Because that is,
yeah, that's a lot of adrenaline.
As gruesome, yes. Well, as gruesome as it is, that is a physically exhausting experience to off 4 people with a knife, with a K-bar knife. I mean, that takes a lot of your energy. Like, how much energy do you have after that?
Yeah. Yeah. What was that? Where'd the comment go? Yeah, Meg, or Mittens is replying to Meg. I think Dylan even stated in the PCA that she thought the noise she could have heard outside her door, she wasn't sure if it was Ethan and Xana having an argument. Then I have to wonder, well, did they always argue, or is this something that she just thought? She was relatively new to the house, I think, is in relation to the other girls. I think her and Bethany were the last 2 to come into the house. So how well did they even really know the other roommates yet? I don't know. I know that Kaylee and Maddie were pretty close to Xana and Ethan, but I don't know how close the other girls were and what they knew of their relationship and things like that. But it's still, even if you give her that benefit that she thought it was them arguing, I could see that, but I don't understand the statement of "don't worry, I'm here to help you." That's odd. And how loud was that statement? Was it just a "don't worry, I'm here to help you" that you could hear from the living room to your door? I mean, again, if that came from Xana's bedroom or upstairs, you're not going to hear that standing there with your door cracked open. And the fact that it was a party house and they were used to people coming and going, they didn't know. Like I said, there was a whole ass party going on one night and none of the girls who lived there were even at home. So don't tell me a rando couldn't slip in that house at any given time and learn that floor plan. Especially with 100, 150 kids present. You might could slip around that whole house and nobody even realize what you're in there doing.
Yeah, I think the thing that most people have the problem with was that she just went back to bed after bushy eyebrows, stranger in the house, stranger danger. You hear weird sounds going on, and you just go back to bed and don't call 911 for hours. I think that is the thing that most people in Joe Schmo land have a problem with. Like, just on the outside looking in, why would you not? Why do you just go back to bed?
Yeah, it's never made sense. I can't make sense. I mean, I've tried to see from both ways. I've tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Okay, 19-year-old, young, drunk, naive, whatever. But man, let me tell you what, if it's nothing else, it's worth a conversation with your children. Because believe me, I went right to at the time, I think he was like 15, 16. He's going to be 18 soon. But I'm like, look, if things ever go down and you hear crazy noises, you need to be checking things out or calling 911. Don't just turn a blind eye and go on to bed. It's time to have a talk. Don't be so naive in the world. But I don't know. It's never made sense, and there's, but it wasn't her DNA on the sheath.
Right. Exactly.
So I have to take it like that. At some point, I really have been down every rabbit hole imaginable with this case, and I had to come up for air. And boy, did I have to come up for air good, because there's so many to go down. And this one was a legit one, because what she'd said and did that night didn't make any sense to any of us. You know, we try to put ourselves in her shoes. We're like, oh, hell no, we're calling 911. We're calling our daddy. We're calling our brother, our uncle, the next door neighbor right then, not the next morning. Something weird's going on, you know? So and also when Dylan and Bethany were texting back and forth, I can't recall because I haven't read the PCA in so long, but I think they've tried to place a call to one of the roommates' phones and didn't get an answer. That would have been a red flag to me. I've been like, I just heard her making some damn noise, and all I want them to do is go to bed. Now they're not answering. I'm going up. I would have went upstairs and not be like, hey, look, you know, what's going on up here, you know? But what we would have done and what they would have done are totally different things. I'm a grown ass woman. She's a 19-year-old girl. Then I got to remember what I was like at 19. And there was times I was pretty wasted. Would I have recognized there was danger going on? I don't know. I'll be honest. There was a few times I probably wouldn't have recognized it. I've been like, damn, there's a lot of noise going on out there. Wish it would stop. The room's spinning. I need to go to bed. I don't know. I really try to look at it from every angle to try to figure it out, but I still can't make it make sense.
So what do we think was going on at 4 o'clock in the morning when they thought that she heard the dog playing at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Well,
was that really the dog
how
playing?
accurate were her time? Right. How accurate were her times? Because the PCA says the door, and I'm going to tell you guys, I've been a part-time DoorDash driver for a couple years. And when this case started popping up, everybody was blaming that DoorDash driver. And then I heard all the rumors about how you can manipulate the DoorDash app and it's really drug dealers use the DoorDash. No, none of that's true. You don't have the ability to order DoorDash and choose me as your driver. You do not have that ability. I don't have the ability to know who the hell you are until I accept that order. And once I go pick your order up from the restaurant and show them I picked it up, I got to click confirm pickup, then I'm provided with your name and your address. So there was no way to get around. And true, there's been deep rabbit holes on this stuff. So they know that the PCA claims that at 4, that's when the DoorDash came. And it was apparently a contactless delivery. So if I get an order and it's contactless delivery, then by God, that's what that means. I'm going to walk up to your door. I'm going to set that stuff down. I'm going to take my little picture. It'll upload to the DoorDash app, which then sends it to you. And I'm going to get my car and I'm leaving. Yeah, I've done my part. So, if that happens at 4, we see the car go behind the building at 4:08, meaning that car, whoever's in that car, doesn't get in that house till 4:09. So was it 4 a.m. when she heard noises, or was it 4:09, 4:10? I don't really know. It doesn't, it just says around that time. But yes, she heard, according to the PCA, she heard what she thought was Kaylee playing with the dog upstairs. Now, Murphy was still a puppy and not like a full-grown watchdog. So, but he loved Kaylee and Maddie, so I'm pretty sure he'd been a little bit of a protectiveness. If he hears something, is he going to bark? Is he going to growl? Things like that. Was that what exactly she was hearing him do? I don't know. But I guess in her mind, nothing nefarious is going to happen. It's just Kaylee playing with the dog.
But it was a golden doodle, right? Isn't that what you told me? It was a golden doodle. Yes, golden doodles are a little bit, flaky is not the right word, but they're skittish around strangers. Let's just say that. They're skittish around strangers. So I guarantee you, if it was some kind of barking or whatever, but so they're skittish around strangers, but they're also playful. And I'm learning a lot about them since my dad got a new one. But their bark between them being scared of a stranger and them being playful is actually very similar. It's very similar. So anybody else in the house would not have known the difference.
Right. Exactly. Because, it's been, according to the PCA, I don't think the authorities know if Kaylee was asleep in that bedroom with Maddie or not. That's just where she was found. So how do they know where she slept that night? And I'll say that to say this. Say Kaylee did go to her room that night because her dog was found in her bedroom. Murphy's going to be wherever Kaylee's at. So if Murphy was in Kaylee's bedroom with the door shut when authorities got there, did he alert to Kaylee there something's going on outside this door? Did he hear somebody come up those stairs? Did he hear a scuffle? Did he hear something and make a whimper, a bark, a growl, anything, alert Kaylee? Did she then get up to go investigate what the hell Murphy's after and leave him in the room, which most would have took their dog with them, but who knows what she's thinking. Did she get up and go out of her room into Maddie's room and walk in on what was happening in there? Because according to Steve, her father, and according to the PCA, her wounds were way more vicious than what Maddie suffered. Kind of like our girls over in Delphi. One was way worse than the other. Why? So if Kaylee was already in the room asleep on the bed with Maddie, yeah, that's fine too, but she woke up. But when you walk in that room to unalive your victim and you're like, oh shit, there's two of them in here instead of one, do you slip back out? Or do you go ahead and go through with it with a whole other person laying there asleep that could wake up any second? Do you think you're going to be quick enough to get this one then get that one? I don't know. In my mind, because the dog was in her room, maybe she was in her room the whole time and got up and walked to Maddie's room because the dog alerted her to something. And that's when Dylan heard the dog. I don't know. I tried to piece that together. What was this dog doing? What does she mean she heard the dog? What did Kaylee do when she heard the dog? Is that when Kaylee got up and went to Maddie's room? Or was she drunk and left the dog in her room, went back over to Maddie's room, let's continue to try to get a hold of Jack, and then she's just like, fuck it, and passed out on the bed? That could have been the case. But if you walk in that room to unalive somebody, are you going to be startled? There's two people there now instead of one. What are you going to do? It's hard to say. I'm not a killer, so I don't know. It depends on how overwhelming your urge was to do what you already came there to do. You know what I mean? And this is again stating I don't know who the killer is, but if you look at past like serial type killers, once that urge is there, nothing is going to stop it. They have to go through with it. So I don't know if it was the case. I'm already here. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Or did he really get startled by her? I don't know. But things had to happen super fast in that house, though, given the time span of when that car got there and when that car allegedly leaves. Like, we're talking minutes, 10, not even 15 minutes worth of time in that house. I think down to the minute, I think it's more like 12, Some had it at 9 minutes still. There's not a lot of time for everything to go down. Not like it's going to be a casual walk through and do. I think stuff started happening pretty quick. And I don't know if there was a couple of them that were just casualties because they were there and happened to be awake still. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's crazy, the similarities and the differences between this and Delphi, because the timeline is huge. The timeline is such a huge part of it. And I think in Delphi, I think Bob Mata had it right, where he was like, I think he said the defense team should have just abandoned the whole Odinist third party theory and just attacked the timeline. Like the whole defense case should have been about attacking the timeline. And I think that's how Ann Taylor may attack this, is with the timeline. Like,
oh yeah,
that's it. 10, 12 minutes to kill 4 people and prove that he was there for that 10, 12 minutes. I think that's an open door for her.
Yeah, because you got 12 minutes between that 408 mark when that car goes behind that building and then it leaves at 420 at a high rate of speed. Now, a lot of us we have talked this to death. A bunch of us have, about how long could that actually take. But if you enter a home like that and you honestly have one person in mind, and that's exactly where you're headed, because it's obvious where her bedroom was. And I know Ann Taylor has stated that, there's no known connection. Well, that's yet to be proven in court. I understand what she told me, but I'm not at court yet, so I don't know this to be facts. I just know that's what she said. But if you are stalking or watching your victims, it's easy to know where Maddie's bedroom was. It's so easy to figure that out. But if you go in that house and that's exactly where you head toward, and like I said, you attacked her and you go to leave and boom, there's Kaylee, and you take care of that and you're getting down those stairs to get the hell out of there. And now there's Xana. You're left with no choice but to contend with that. And then there's Ethan. It's like, damn, how fast could all of that have went down? Was there really enough time? I don't know. I can put myself in that house all day long and give myself 3 minutes to do this, 4 minutes to do that, and 5. But, it's different once you're in action and things are really happening. So it's hard to know.
Yeah. Do we want to go over any particular details in the arrest warrant?
Get down, cat. Ugh. I don't know if there's any specific questions about it or not. I mean, there's if you've never read it, and there's people who haven't seen it, they won't want to go over it because you're going to hear now that Delphi's over, eyes are going to be back on the Idaho case, especially now there's movement. And when I say that, there's court filings, because there'll be times they'll go without anything in this case, new to talk about that hasn't been talked about to death. So now I feel like that Delphi is over as far as that part of that trial goes. People are going to be coming into the Idaho case. And there's a lot that they don't know or haven't seen or read. And they may be, they're going to hear a lot that may not be accurate. And they're going to, I'm not the accurate police, so I don't know what everybody has seen and what they haven't seen as far as this case goes.
Oh, here's an interesting paragraph that I hadn't seen before.
Okay.
So if you see what I have pulled up, a review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m.
Now, on that Linda Lane video that I've got the 3 to 4 a.m. Because like I'm telling you, this like 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. I think full video. At 3:28, there's a car that comes down into that parking lot on the leaked Linda Lane footage. I just didn't send you the 3 to 4 video yet, but I can tell you guys what's on it. And that's all that was on there. There is a car that you can see coming back there and doing 3-point turn and leaving again at 3:28. Now, I've mapped out all the Willenta Drive. It runs behind the King Road home. Very interesting road to be on. I know way too much about Idaho, way more than I should for someone who doesn't live there. I've been, and I've got a friend of mine sent me his link this morning where he does an excellent Google Earth map from what would have been, it's in the Discord. I dropped it in there. I believe he maps all the locations. Yeah, see Willenta? This is how the car supposedly leaves the area. When it speeds out, it goes back out of the neighborhood and goes left down Willenta. And Willenta literally comes around behind all of that. And I believe
how do you get to Willenta though?
Okay,
can you go past that house right there? It doesn't look like you can go past that house.
Yeah, no, so Willenta Drive literally comes all the way around and turns into Ridge Road.
Right. It's this one back
right there. Yeah. Now you can't get to the house from Willenta, but you can see it. Like if you were wanting to stalk or watch something, you can literally ride up and down Willenta in that time of the year with when all the foliage is starting to go away and all the things. You can see that King Road house from Willenta Drive. There's literally
there's a little U-shaped like parking area in front of this address that you could potentially
there's a camera there. There's a camera there, and if you go on Google Maps, they blurred that house out eventually.
Really?
That camera footage is listed in the PCA. I've got it all broke down on my notes, but there's a lot of times in that PCA that tells you exactly where that car is and where it is at every single moment. Except for those 2 hours that phone's offline. And when it leaves town heads out the countryway, we'll call it, going out toward Blaine. But Walenta comes all the way around behind them, turns into Ridge Road, and then it leaves. That's how the car allegedly leaves the entire area. But my friend did a whole Google Maps thing, and I believe that, yeah, I believe in his video, like on the way. So every time the PCA mentions where like the car was at, he pings it on that map so we can see and it says this is where the car was seen, this is where the car was seen, all the way into Moscow. He's not done one leaving. I need to ask him to do that for me. Do one of him leaving and show, because they don't have any idea where that car went once it reaches out toward Blaine, because there's no cameras out there. It's like a desolate area. It's super, super rural. There's a botanical park over there on La Walenta, and there's like a little parking pad you could pull off and park. And, there's kids walking all over the place. So if you literally go walking and stalking, no one's going to think twice about seeing somebody back there walk around, because everybody was back there walking around. And you can literally see that entire house from Walenta Drive.
There. I plotted it.
Like, I'll have to get you the good footage that shows all of it. Even the Google Maps that you use to, if you go to Street View and you can walk around and you can see. And at one point on one of the Google Maps, like, no shit, we don't know how it happened, but there's a guy walking down the street. It looks just like Brian Kohberger. And we're all like, where the hell did this come from? That's not Brian Kohberger. And people think it is. Some think it's not. I think it's too coincidental. It's just like, this is another one of those weird things.
Interesting.
But if you look in the Discord, I think, the laptop died. There's a link to my friend, the architect. I dropped his Twitter link in there as well. Butterfly. He's not on YouTube much, but he is active on Twitter, well, most of the time. But he did this, and I've had the link for a long time, and I asked him again this morning, but this is the link. He's going to do a Google Drive from Pullman into Moscow, going the route that the PCA says he went. And I believe he's got it pinged each time that the PCA pings things. So it's interesting to watch.
Where did you put that?
General chat, I think. Let me go see. Let me go take this stupid thing inside. Let me go get on the desktop real quick. If it's not in general chat, check that live hearings chat. I don't know which one I'm in half the time. Okay.
Me too. So there's Linda Lane. There's the Grub truck. There's the appearance by Kohberger in court. Hang with us, folks. We'll get something up here. I promise. All right. All right, what are we watching on here?
Okay. This is did you find what I was talking about?
Yep.
Okay. So this should be
Butterfly threw it up there.
okay. This should be the drive from his apartments to King Road, according to the PCA.
All right, here we go. So so the first 3 passes were caught on the 1122 King Road camera.
Yeah.
Beginning at 3:29 a.m.
Yes.
Okay.
And see how it says 405 on the King and Queen Road? And then
yes,
that's about what time the DoorDash was, about 4-ish. And then we know at 407, 405, and 408, we see the car behind there on the leaked footage we were looking at a little while ago.
Gotcha.
So it enters at 405 of the first one.
So we have him on camera at 4:20 a.m. on Walenta?
Yep.
Really?
There's several cameras back there on Walenta. And at one point, Ann Taylor even states that there's a camera that sees the car going the wrong direction. But what she didn't know that we all knew was Walenta turns into Ridge Road. So which direction? She never specified which direction. That, like, everybody's like, oh my God, that means it wasn't him, or it was the wrong car, mistaken identity. I don't know what she meant by it, but yeah, there's cameras back there that we have not. We only get to see Linda Lane because it got leaked, but there's multiple cameras that see this car all around town.
Well, that's
a car.
crazy. That's crazy. The similarities to the Hoosier Harvest Store and the Delphi Richard Allen case. The similarities are crazy because Mullins was so insistent on getting Rick Allen to admit that maybe he took the country route to go to the bridge that day on February 13th, 2017. He was insistent upon it. And eventually he got him to say, yeah, well, maybe I did that day, because that is the only way that the Hoosier Harvest Store video camera lines up with, because it was a black, potentially Ford Focus, probably Ford Focus, heading westbound on County Road 300 North. So the similarities are just mind-blowing between the two cases.
The only difference is, though, in this case, there's multiple video cameras that spot this alleged car. There's only one that spots Rick Allen's car.
Right. And they theoretically don't have that video. Like I heard the other day that they might have taken the video at some point, but they might not have. And they just have those still shots.
Well, according to Barb McDonald on Twitter, that they did get it, but 5 years later. That's what I was saying. Who the hell keeps it for 5 years? Most businesses do a 30-day record over thing.
I heard that they may not even have the video. And
they probably don't. I don't see how it could be around 5 years later. Honestly,
no, I don't either.
Not unless you're running off an old VHS system, and once you fill that tape up, you got to put another one in, and you saving them all. That's all I can think, because most of the time, I get that's 2017 versus now, but a lot of these cameras nowadays will record over, like every 30 days.
No, even in 2017, I had security cameras in my house in 2017, and they would upload to the cloud, but they would write over themselves after so long.
Yeah.
Just like the Patrick Westfall interviews at ISP. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Who was that? Brad Holder, whoever it was. They get overridden. Okay, let's back up just a touch.
Okay.
So King Road and Queen Road. So the house is over here on the far left side, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Queen Road apartments are off the screen to the left.
Yeah, they sit beside the house. Like that's the apartments that there's a at number 50 Queen Road, there's a camera, which is, I think that's what the PCA says, 50 Queen Road, that sees this car, which is going to be the corner front of the apartments. Remember the apartments we were just looking at on the Linda Lane video where he comes around and comes behind them. That's your Queen Road Apartments. There's allegedly a camera over there, apartment number 50, somewhere that can also see this car moving, but it's going to have to it'll line up with what Linda Lane and all said. But we have, like I said, we haven't seen all of that stuff because it's all hasn't been leaked. But yeah,
But
that's where
supposedly, this building right in front of us, like right in the middle of the screen, that had a camera in front of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is the back road from Moscow to Pullman.
Yeah, I forgot he had this part in there.
So we're kind of heading south now.
Yeah, toward Blaine. And Blaine is where the phone comes back online, if I'm not mistaken. Or in the
Interesting. Okay.
because there is like super rural out this way.
Yes. Kind of like rural Carroll County, Indiana.
Oh, it very much so.
Divided 4-lane highway. I wish I could see the highway name. Wonder if
It's
that's 95 or 195.
I can't remember which one it is. 95, I think.
There's lots of places that dump off some murder clothes, though.
Oh, there's culverts that a friend of mine, Danger was in our chat the other night on my channel. He and I we have deep dove this entire area. We could tell you all the places you could have done away with your things at. Lots of places to do. We have pinpointed the culverts, everything you could think of. We've tried to find it. Yeah.
There's a little pond off to your right. We could dump it there.
Yeah, there's a Johnson Bar campground down here you could pull off into and do away with things with burn pits on the campsites, little river that runs through it. On the way back to Pullman, you're going to pass the Snake River. There's a lot of places.
I think we're going back north now. I
Yeah.
believe,
Yeah.
towards Pullman. So is this a camera shot or is this his phone pings somewhere near Genesee?
His phone pings, I think, back there near Genesee.
Yeah, I think the camera shots were yellow colored place marks and that was blue. So I think that's cell phone.
Yeah. It's odd for your phone to go offline for 2 hours and then suddenly comes back on in a rural area.
Yeah. Well, it's odd for your phone to go off for like 10 hours and then come back on.
True that.
In the shoe of your murdered best friend.
Yeah.
In the banks of the Deer Creek.
Yep. This is so true.
Where's he going now? Come on, buddy. Get us there.
Yeah,
Get us
no.
there.
It's like we're on the edge of our seat. Let's go.
I think we're stuck.
They were probably looking for Wawa Wee Park, going, where the hell is that park?
All right, there we go.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome, Jay Bird. Again, this video that we just watched was a friend of mine put that together a long time ago. His name he goes by The Architect on X and on YouTube. I'm trying to get him around to coming on to a live and having a chat with us. He and I are funny because we can play prosecution and defense. Like he can be the defense, I'm the prosecution, and we'll go at it sometimes, have a big old debate. It's fun. I love somebody who can debate with me without getting pissed. Because I'm open as long as you be open. I'm just looking at chat real quick.
Yep. All right. Do you want to wrap it up for this episode and then maybe hit it again?
Let's see. Tomorrow's Monday. I'm going to be home all day. I will probably schedule a live for tomorrow, and maybe we'll start doing the PCA read. Because I don't think there's, a lot of people who don't have it and haven't seen it or haven't read it. And I haven't read it in a long time, and I need to get a refresher on a couple of things in there that I wanted to look at as well. And we can put together some more material to go into the next step of the show. Just trying to get everybody back familiar with what happened that night, where the girls were. I think people appreciate it, and I hope they do anyway. That's the intent, is to not, bring speculation, but to bring, this is what happened, here the girls are, and here's their movements. And when we start getting into the PCA, we can get into the timeline a little better, as far as what was going on in the house, because those phone calls between the girls and Jack end. We will see when the text between the two surviving roommates end. All that's going to be important as far as building our timeline. So I think it's important to go over those key factors as well. So I don't know what your schedule is like tomorrow, Joe, if you're super busy all day, or, that we can maybe get up and try to schedule a time to get us the next show out.
All right. Sounds good to me.
All right, guys, if you have any questions about the case or anything you want to ask us about or to present, leave me a message over there on on my channel. Tag me over there and ask questions, and then so we can bring what you want to see. If there's things you do have questions about, legit, you don't, or confused about or concerned about. Because like I said, I've heard it all, and I'm willing to talk about all of it. I just, and if it's been brought up, I'll say, yeah, that was brought up, but we've never proven that, and things like that. So if you guys have any questions, like I said, hit me or Joe up, and we'll try to address that kind of stuff as well, because I think that's important, to bring you guys what you want to hear, and if you,
Absolutely.
all the things.
Absolutely. Salty, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Still learning more every day.
Yeah, and I think there's still going to be lots I learn, and like I need to review some more of the past documents in the case as well, because they're going to be important coming up with these hearings. And so, yeah, I'll do some research tonight and put some things together as well for our next show. So again, thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it. Y'all make sure you hit the like button.
Thanks, chat. Thanks, everybody, for dropping in. Butterfly, thank you so much. I appreciate you more than you can
Yes,
know.
ma'am. I know. And she even jumped in while she was still grocery shopping. I hit her. I was just like, I'm shopping, but I'm on it. I'm like, oh, man, you're so awesome.
She's always on it. She's always on it.
I know. She really is. We couldn't do it without her. So I appreciate it. Again, have a great day, chat, and we'll schedule up something for tomorrow evening or tomorrow afternoon. Get back at it. Thank you.
Peace out, everybody. Be well. Stay safe.
Bye.